supervisors. And then as they go, at the end. Me invitaron a Supervisor. Si está preparado, si está preparado, yo. Invited me to see you. Fundraiser.
Supervisor, Mayoral, and then
Folks, as you come in, your sandwiches.
should be fine.
It's nice.
Start promptly in about 7 minutes.
Better than the first one we did with Alicia 2 years ago. She was like she had to hold her arm up the whole time. You want me to hold it?
And he's so shaky.
You guys are freaking me out. They're out there in the back calling me, come and open the door. Why can't you come to the normal door? Everybody gone out to go and get them. Those doors locked behind us.
gonna get my dad's side again.
I'll get your good side.
Seats are going to go pretty quick. Find a seat. We're going to get started here in a couple minutes. Get some food. Food's back for you guys. Make sure you grab a cookie. Don't leave any cookies. Because I have my sister on the table.
It's live now. You might. You know where the lady is? The Babel. Oh, it's right here. Let's say see Jessica, and then you just have to, as we took your turn, go your vote.
All right, if we can everybody grab a seat, we're going to get started. We know more folks will be coming in throughout the evening, but we want to get started a little early so that we can stay on our time schedule for us tonight. So, thank you all for coming tonight. This is an election year, and every election year the chamber tries to meet with our candidates and give them an opportunity to talk about what they believe and what they think is important for our city. And so this is our second candidates forum this year. We did one back in April. And now the one tonight, we'll be talking to our candidates for mayor, our candidates for council, and our candidates for our new supervisors district. My name is Dave Elliott. I'm president and CEO of your Santa Ana Chamber of Commerce. And I've been involved with the chamber since 1994. So I know a few of you that are out here. And there's some that I don't know. So introduce yourself to me as you can afterwards or between our segments today. I do want to recognize a few people. Dr. Neary is coming in the back. Thank you, our president and staff. President and on our board of directors for the chamber as well. And then Enrique Perez, our vice chancellor. Enrique, back here. Also one of our board members. Actually going to be our board chair after this next year. So we're excited to, and thank you guys for hosting this again tonight. It's such a beautiful place here at the Johnson Center in room 219, that kind of thing. So I also want to recognize C&I College as one of our sponsors tonight. Deborah, thank you very much. Obviously, it's the college, the chamber, and then SoCal Gas. And at this time, I'd like to have Juan come up and share a couple thoughts and then have a little video for you as well.
Good afternoon, everybody, or evening. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here this afternoon. Juan Gonzalez, Local Public Affairs Manager for SoCal Gas here in the city of Santa Ana. First and foremost, let me thank everybody for taking their time to be here today to listen to the candidates running for County Board Supervisors, the City Council, and also for the Mayor's race. There's a lot of areas of interest that, what the future may lead to the city of Santa Ana. So for all those people here in attendance and those watching on Facebook Live, if I understand correctly, thank you for participating. Again, SoCal Gas is looking at the future, the continue to provide safe, affordable, reliable energy to all of the residents. Right now we're looking at hydrogen as a new mode of energy for our customers, looking at renewable natural gas. And we're super excited, as a company, we're looking at to do our part to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and look into the future. So we want to be the cleanest, safest, most innovative company in North America, and we're striving to do our part to, again, reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Before I conclude, it's again a special thanks to Santa Ana College for allowing us to participate and all the committee members who are taking part to have this particular event. And also to you, sir, thank you so much for all the help and your staff for putting this item together. So thank you. Best of all candidates, and may the best person win. Roll video. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan.
There's some really good background music on that.
It's actually effective like this.
Yes. No biggie. Thank you so much.
You know, my song that I was singing was on, and maybe that's what happened. That kind of thing. Excited to have Bill Murphy come and be our moderator tonight. I'm going to ask Kim and Vince to come up and take their seats as we kind of get into our forum tonight. So, would you welcome Bill Murphy from the County Secretary, our Vice Chair, and our
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you, everybody. And so we have an official proceeding getting started here tonight. I ask you real quickly again to rise, and everybody rise to salute the flag, so we don't forget the formal proceeding. Please place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you again, candidates, for being here. Again, my name is Bill Murphy. I am co-chair of the GAT Committee on the Board of Directors for the Santa Ana Chamber of Commerce, also a resident of Santa Ana, and strong supporter and believer in these kind of forums to let the candidates speak in their own words. This is the format that we are going to be following for the candidates and for all who are here. There will be a 2-minute opening statement. There will be a series of questions that I will then ask. There will be 1 minute to answer those questions, and then thereafter 30 seconds rebuttal, if you'd like to take it. And then there will be a 1-minute closing statement. Tim Jamal right here at the front will be the timekeeper, so candidates, eyes on him, please. And again, thank you for being here. I know both of you have very, very busy schedules and took the time to be here. So without further ado, I would like to get started. Oh, I'm sorry.
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live.
It's on Facebook Live.
Oh, this is on Facebook Live. Thank you very much for reminding us, Tim. So with that, everybody, I would like to get started. And if I may, Vince, Mayor Sarmiento, can I have your opening statement first? 2 minutes. And then, thank you.
Great. Well, first of all, let me thank the Chamber and Santa Ana College and CNI and SoCal Gas for hosting this night. I do also want to congratulate Councilmember Wynn for making it through to the primaries and all the other candidates that are going to be coming before us tonight. Just running for office is not a simple thing to do, so I certainly congratulate them and thank them for their public service. So I am Vicente Sarmiento, I'm the mayor of the city of Santa Ana. I am a former council member here, and my family arrived here in the city in 1965, and we've lived in and around Orange County for the past over 57 years. For me, it's been a blessing and an honor to serve the community that I grew up in. And as you know, we were here before the June primary, and there was 5 of us, and we were wondering why there's so many empty seats here between us and how why we're so far away. I do think that either one of us will make a vast improvement over the predecessor that represented this area, not Supervisor Foley, but Supervisor Foley's predecessor. I do believe that, I am very grateful to many of you who are listening and many of you who are following here for helping us make it through the primary. We won by over 13 percentage points and close to 8,000 votes. And I think the message of trying to help people in our community that have been struggling for so long was really helpful. For me, this new district that's been drawn up, the county is a historic district. It includes all of the cities, sometimes it includes West Anaheim, West Orange, West Tustin, and 5% of Gardner Road. So I know that it's going to take somebody on the council, on that board of supervisors, to make effective change there, because we know that there's a struggle with the delivery of public health at the county. There's very little open space in this area, and there's a homelessness crisis that we all need to deal with. So I'm hoping that we'll make it there, and the leadership that I brought to the city will be something I can bring to the county as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Nguyen, please, you can have your 2-minute opening statement.
First, thank you to all the organizers for hosting us tonight, and thank you for all of you being here. My name is Kimberly Nguyen. I am a Gardner City Councilwoman. I am the daughter of a Vietnamese refugee and Mexican immigrant. that I wanted to be a public servant at a very young age while interpreting or translating for my mom at a doctor's office or helping her with food stamps at the grocery store while people are whispering because they're frustrated with us for holding up the line. I knew right away that something had to change. And I acknowledge that even at a young age, the people on TV giving big speeches and making decisions over my family, my community, myself did not look like my family, myself, or my family, my community, myself. And I knew that I wanted to be that. And so from that point on, I started telling everyone that I wanted to be president of the United States of America. And in second grade, I launched my first campaign that said, vote when now. And at the bottom it said 2028 or 2032. When I done the math, I'd be 36 and eligible to run in 2028. And I was fortunate to have people that believed in me and laughed off and helped me achieve this goal by eventually getting elected to city council. I am the only candidate with actual healthcare administration background. I am endorsed by the majority of Santa Ana, Garden Grove, and Orange City Council members. It is a signifying moment to know that all of the folks that are in this district and around the county, throughout California, are supporting my campaign for change and to be a supervisor for all of us. So I hope that after this forum, you will jump on this train with me and we'll be victorious on November 8th. Thank you all so much.
Thank you very much for those opening statements. And now we'll get to a series of questions. Again, I'll be watching the clock to be mindful of everybody's time. 1 minute to respond and a 30-second rebuttal if you'd like it. And Councilmember Nguyen, I'll start with you with the first question. Thank you for the opening. This question is designed to focus in on 1 or 2 issues. Please describe why you are running for county supervisor with reference to this.
The top issue that I've heard in my community and in neighboring cities has been homelessness, public safety, and housing. I'm running for supervisor because I, as a councilwoman and I, as a healthcare professional, have struggled to get the assistance for my residents that we so desperately need, and I feel that with the experience that I have serving in this capacity, with over 20 departments that I'll be responsible for, with over $8 billion in the budget, that I am equipped to take this on. In Garden Grove, we have struggled to get funding from the county to help us address homelessness, but after a 2-year battle and struggle, they have allotted us a significant portion of money to open our first navigation center. We also were one of the first cities to pilot our BLOC mobile pilot program in Garden Grove, where we have trained and licensed professionals traveling around the city in conjunction with our police department working to address mental health and homelessness. And so I want to be able to implement this on a regional level because this is our biggest crisis facing the county now.
Thank you for the answer. Mayor, would you like a 30-second rebuttal of that, or would you like to go ahead with answering the question for 1 minute?
Sure, I'll just go ahead and answer the question.
Okay, thank you. Same question.
Yeah, so, there are many challenges that we have at the county on, just to address homelessness. The city of Santa Ana had actually litigated this matter and sued the county because we found that there was de facto dumping. And so other communities were bringing their people who were in house here to the city. We understand that this is a regional problem. It should be shared to a library or park or a school and have to see encampments all over the place. So that's something that we all need to solve as a community, as a society, and as an entire county, not just one city should be responsible.
Thank you for that. Councilmember Nguyen, would you like 30-second rebuttal, or should I move on to the next question? Okay, thank you for the responses, both. Next question, and Mayor Sarmiento, if I can start with you on this one. What should the county be doing to improve public safety for residents and businesses? 1 minute.
Yeah, I think, again, I think that these issues of people who are in the house straddles businesses, straddles safety, there's elements of that. But I know, during the pandemic, what we saw is that the county is flush with money. It's not a matter of lack of resources or lack of funding. Unfortunately, a lot of the money went unspent, so I think it's a matter of political will. And I know in the city, when we saw businesses struggling during COVID, we expended a lot of our money that we received from the federal government to relax, fees, to also extend footprints and create outdoor patios, to extend business grants in the amount of $10,000 to many of our businesses that were struggling. That is the type of leadership I wanted to see at the county because they had much more money than we did as a city. So hopefully, the change that we see is happening at the city is change that we're going to see happening at the county, which is to make sure that we lead, with those resources, not with empty promises.
Okay, thank you for the response. Councilmember Nguyen, would you like the 30-second rebuttal to that, or would you like to go ahead and answer?
No, but could you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What should the county be doing to improve public safety for residents and businesses? 1 minute.
Okay. I think that I've addressed this previously in my comment, and also if you log on to my website, you will see my homeless action plan. This touches upon exactly what I'm going to talk about briefly, but full time is there. Public safety, what does that mean and how are we going to resolve it? The county has multiple avenues to fund things that will directly help our public safety. One of them being mental health. When I talk to residents, what are they telling me? I don't feel safe walking to school. Those are children that have emailed and contacted me. Parents who don't feel comfortable letting their children play on the streets. Why? Because they're encountering individuals who are homeless that are facing mental health and substance use disorder issues. And so BYOC isn't enough as one campus, and I know we're opening another one in Irvine, but that's also not enough to address all 34 cities. We need to allocate more funding, we need to be more creative, such as BYOC mobile pilot program that is using existing county staff and paying them appropriately for the work that they're already doing. And so one thing I want to do is expand on this plan. Please visit my website so you can see the full detailed 5-point plan there, but this is just a short summary of that.
Okay, thank you. And Mayor, would you like the 30-second rebuttal to that?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you both for for the responses. I'll move on to the third question. Councilmember Nguyen, good, I'll start with you on this one. Santa Ana, Stanton, Costa Mesa, and Mojave are the 4 cities out of the 34 in the county that allow cannabis licensing. Do you support expanding cannabis licensing to other cities? And if so, what would you do in your role as a county supervisor?
I think it's really important to explore additional revenue sources such as cannabis. Unfortunately, the city of Garden Grove, we have an all-right ban, and although I tried to bring it up on several locations, we've had a number of council members that refuse to put it on the ballot to allow for residents to vote. So one of the things that I would like to do is meet with individual cities within my district to ensure that they can go visit some cannabis shops, meet with cannabis professionals, and understand what this could bring to their city. This could be somewhere upwards of $10+ million that a city would receive that they could utilize for other things that they need to pay for that they unfortunately don't have money from directed by the state. So I would like to explore and expand this if possible.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to take the 30-second rebuttal?
No,
Or would you
I'd
like
like to respond.
Okay.
So, Santa Ana was one of the first cities in the county and one of the first cities in Southern California to regulate cannabis back in 2014. It was brought to us by an initiative that people circulated and they had sufficient signatures. During the pandemic, that was the one industry that kept us in black. They generated over $20 million in revenue for the city and handled well. I think it was a responsible thing to do. We used to have a moratorium and a ban before we adopted regulation, and we had over 120 illegal, unpermitted operators. Once we started regulating, we had less than 15. And so we knew that that was a way that we could go ahead and address that problem. And at the same time, we started with medicinal. We had a lot of people with compelling, conditions coming in saying, they were going through trauma, they were going through epilepsy and other episodes. That medicinal cannabis were allowed them to mainstream on campuses and academics. So for me, it's been a big win in the county. I think it'd be helpful to have policy that will help, address their revenue issues.
Thank you for the responses, and would you like 30 seconds? Okay, we'll move on then to the next question. And Mayor, if I can start with you on this one. Has the county made enough progress on addressing homelessness? What would be some of your solutions?
So homelessness seems to be coming up as a theme here. Obviously they haven't, because we know that the county's been broken up into 3 sections: the northern SPA, the central SPA, and the southern SPA, and that was dictated because of a federal district court judge, Judge Carter, that realized that there was issues that were happening in the county that disproportionately impacted certain cities. Once again, Santa Ana was that city that was disproportionately impacted. His theory was, how do we spread these resources to make sure that everybody has a shared responsibility? The northern cities, the central cities, and the southern. Unfortunately, what we see is that the cities to the south haven't stepped up the way those in central county and northern county have. We have many more shelters. We just opened up a navigation center with up to 300 beds. Resources, and we know we have a lot of food pantries, a lot of ancillary benefits for our in-house population. All we ask is that other cities, amongst the 34 of us, this is probably one of the most affluent counties in the country, that we all step up and do our fair share so there is no city or community of color that's impacted more than others.
Thank you for the response. Would you like 30 seconds, or would you like to go ahead and take the full minute?
Just my time.
Okay.
I think there are some things to highlight that the county is doing well, but I think the things to focus on are what they're not doing well and how I would like to improve that. Homelessness is an issue that we're all seeing and we all deal with, and sometimes we forget and we're detached and we lack compassion. But as someone who has had family members struggle with homelessness, I'm very passionate about this particular issue, and I think that we have to look at the county allocates a lot of money to specific services that CBOs and community clinics are all fighting for, but they're not addressing the gaps. So I took it upon myself in the city of Garden Grove to focus in on those gaps, and one of those was crisis stabilization. And so we really need to work with the cities that are not doing their fair share and give them a very few limited options. You're either going to do A, B, and C. We're going to give you X amount of money. Tell us which you would prefer. Because you hear time and time again people say, oh, we don't need affordable housing, we don't want that here, we don't want to have an emergency shelter. Okay, but what are you going to bring to the table? Because it requires all of us to do something. And if they refuse to do that, then we hold back money that we would normally allot to them to do other activities. And so incentivizing the cities to do the right thing, I think, is our way forward in a new approach to this issue.
Thank you for the responses. Would you like the rebuttal? Okay. With that, I will move on to the next question. And Councilmember Lynn, I think I will start with you on this one. Recognizing that neither of you are currently on the board, I kind of assume you might know how certain operations work. As a new supervisor, what changes would you like to see on how the board operates?
For starters, I would like to maybe take a poll amongst my new colleagues to figure out if they would be willing to change the time of the meeting, because it's unrealistic to assume that people can attend those meetings. They're really early and they go on, and then they break, and then they come back. And folks who have jobs are unable to attend, either provide their input or be there in person. So I would like to change that. I don't know if there's an appetite for it, but a girl can try. I think the other part of it is too having staff who are trained and knowledgeable about the different departments within the county, because there's over 20 departments, and if you just have friends or politicos who are working for you that don't understand how things work, it's going to be double the time trying to get something done. And so again, also I'm an auditor by trade in healthcare, and so I want to really look into where are we spending our money and where we should be spending our money, and making sure that I'm pushing forward initiatives to actually make that change.
Thank you. Would you like a 30-second rebuttal?
No, I actually agree with a lot of what Councilmember said. I think her first point is especially important: transparency and openness in government. Santa Ana is probably one of the most transparent governments and accessible governments as well. We have people that show up to the meeting in person, they can call in, they can appear virtually. We have kept that going even beyond the pandemic. It's because people have mobility problems, they have disability problems, and we want as many people to publicly engage with us as possible. We have meetings that go on into midnight. I know it's difficult, but look, to the extent that this is the quintessential public square, people should be participating in their government, for better or for worse. So that is something that the county is very flawed with. There's so many things that are wrong with the government. The Office of Independent Review, that's something that has no teeth, it has very little funding, it has very little staff. That is the accountability arm of making sure that all the departments within the county are operating correctly, whether it's the sheriff, whether it's the district attorneys, anybody else. But those are things that I know we're trying to solve at the city, but I know that it needs a lot of, there's a lot of improvement in that area for the county as well.
Thank you for the response. Okay. We'll move on to the next question. And Mayor Sarmiento, I'd like to start with you on this one. Does the county have a role in reducing the cost of living and addressing record high in inflation? And if so, what would you propose as a supervisor?
Well, for us in the city, we adopted a rent stabilization ordinance because we know that rents are increasing at a much, much faster pace than wages and salaries. So we have a lot more people that are relieved in the city because we have a cap of 3% on our rents. That gives relief to a lot of our tenants who were being displaced. If you realize San Bernardino was once one of the smallest cities in the state. Now it is the 7th largest city in the state. The reason why is because people are being displaced out of Orange and LA County. The only place that can afford to live is in the Inland Empire. No knock to them, but people should be able to stay in the communities that they were raised in. And if they were raised here in Santa Ana, if they were raised here in Orange County, this is where they should choose to remain. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. I think if there's ways that we can address Food insecurity, making sure medicine is accessible, at least those costs can be brought down so they can use those funds towards rent, towards tenancy. In Santa Ana, more than 50% of our residents are tenants and renters. So we know it's a very rate-sensitive community here in Central County.
Thank you for the response. Would you like a 30-second rebuttal? Councilmember Nguyen? 1 minute. Do you need the question ready then, or you got it? We're good.
Gardner is one of 3 cities alongside the county that operates the housing authority, which manages the Section 8 vouchers in our city. And one of the things that I want to work as a supervisor is working with our individual cities to look at our first-time homebuyer programs, our Section 8 vouchers, the additional monies that we were given by the federal government to expand those programs. A lot of the laws in the books that manage the eligibility for these programs is really antiquated and doesn't match up with what it costs to buy a home or to have rent today. And so as someone who just went through that struggle, I want to make sure that I'm providing insight onto what it actually looks like. For right now, I purchased my first home, a 548 square foot condo, which was significantly smaller than my apartment, for over $300,000, which is astronomical. And without the pandemic and my bank being really generous and giving me a 3% down, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. And many people my age would not be able to. Many of them live at home because their parents can't afford for them to leave, and or they just can't afford to leave, and so they stay there to help with their families. And so this is something that I want to work on and expand and create supplemental programming with county dollars to ensure that folks that live here, work here, can afford to be here.
Thank you for the response. Would you like a rebuttal?
No, I was just going to add and say, for people, young people like Councilmember Nguyen, people like my son who can't afford to live here, those first-time home buyer programs that we have here in the city have been a real asset. And we lose human capital as people graduate, go to school, they have to leave to other places that are affordable. And that's not only the city's loss, but the county's loss.
Thank you both for that. 2 more questions. And Councilmember Nguyen, I'd like to start with you on this one. Many small businesses have had their business operations disrupted by the OC streetcar construction. What could and should be done at the county level to assist these small businesses and those who have business operations interrupted?
I believe that early on, we should have had better organization around informing our businesses about what was about to happen, and so that they were better prepared and equipped. I think that the rollout from OCTA, although commendable, wasn't enough. You really have to meet people where they're at. I've heard countless horror stories from the businesses in downtown about not even knowing when closures were going to happen, and when they did, there was no support to advertise their businesses until way after they started launching protests and complaining about it. And so we want to be on top of that. And so any item that I'm going to be approving, I will be make sure that it's not with the OCTA staff and with my supervisor staff, that we are walking out there and talking to individuals and preparing them for what's to come, and to ensuring that with our discretionary funds, if allowable, I would consult the attorney first, but would look to how we can provide funds to them to help support them through these types of activities.
As an attorney, I appreciate that.
Before I commit to anything, I have to make sure I can.
And as a city attorney for different cities, but yes. Mayor Sarmiento, would you like to take this?
Sometimes we attorneys just muck things up and get things more confused. I don't know how to do that. But look, I think that, the whole rollout of the construction was really challenging. We see that merchants are still suffering with parts of 4th Street still under construction. My predecessor was very involved in this, and what was unfortunate is that OCTA, which is the lead agency, did not have a business interruption grant fund. And there are agencies that have done that. When we brought it to our council at OCTA, they said that they couldn't do it. That's something that I still think is debatable, and as attorneys we can disagree. But I think what's been helpful is that the city has dedicated $3 million. Supervisor Foley has dedicated $1.2 million. The OCTA finally dedicated $1.2 million to accelerate the work. So these are dollars that are going towards making sure people aren't displaced from their businesses. That's important because Calle Cuatro is a historic ethnic business community. When there was flight from that area, those families came in and invested their entire life savings. And these aren't large franchises. These are independent shops. These are mom and pops that struggle with making rent every month. So to the extent that I know that it's been helpful, we want to make sure that we continue to provide that leadership at the county.
Thank you. Would you like 30 seconds or last question? Okay. Mayor Sarmiento, I'd like to start with you on this one. Last question. How would you promote and improve economic development as a supervisor?
You know, what was difficult is I wanted to do that as mayor more. We had a lot of investment in the city, but during the pandemic, it was really difficult. I think one of the things that we have to, we would do, and I would like to do as supervisor in the central district, we have a lot of great spots in the city and in the county that are very unique to the rest of the county. We're not a coastal district. District 2 is, you know, again, an inland community, but we have some very important historic ethnic neighborhoods that I think we could do well in. Guayaquatro is a great example. The Orange Circle, what's going on at OC Vibe. If you saw the article that just came out, OC Vibe is an area right by the Honda Center that's being worked on with partnership with the city of Anaheim and the Anaheim Ducks. Those are the types of things that we want to see, where there's collaboration, where there's front-end discussions with neighborhoods, not what happened like what we saw with Angel Stadium and what led to the resignation of the mayor here. I think what we want to see are more collaborative efforts like what we're seeing at OC Vibe. That's something that I think that we could do together because it's a beautiful county. We have amazing places that we can market to many different businesses.
Thank you for the response. Would you like to take 3 seconds or go ahead and respond? Thank you.
My answer. In Garden Grove, we've done a lot of really exciting things to move Garden Grove away from being a sleepy town that it's known to be and making it bustling and thriving. Garden Grove was the 5th largest city in Orange County, but it's very underrated. And we've boosted programs like our Foods of Garden Grove. As a film commissioner, I've worked with the city to try to implement and incentivize filming in our city. We are known for having Star Trek here and filmed at our private cathedral, and so I want to promote activities like that, thinking outside the box, to bring people not so much to do things here as far as building, but also just being able to spend their money here, right? And I want to ensure that people are able to thrive and live here and work here. And so my first priority as a supervisor is going to be making sure to clean up our own backyard and making sure that we address this mental health, substance use, homelessness, and health issue that we have around the county, because if our residents are not able to work and thrive and afford to be here, then we're not going to be successful, period.
Okay, thank you very much. And any rebuttal? Or we are now to the point where each candidate will have a 1-minute closing statement. And we started opening with Mayor Sarmiento. Councilmember Nguyen, would you mind? 1-minute closing statement.
Throughout this forum, you guys have heard a lot of my policy initiatives that I want to push forward, tangible, actual policy and initiatives, program initiatives that I want to implement. I have worked really hard to study the budget, to look at what the county is doing, and with my 10 years experience working in healthcare and half of that being with the county's CalOptima plan, I feel that I am the most equipped and ready to go on day one, knowing how to navigate the different departments and already existing programs. I know where the gaps are, I know exactly what changes I want to make, and it can be outlined on my website for you to look at more. But we need to have someone that's ready to go now, that actually has tangible things that they want to accomplish so that we can metric that and monitor it over the next 4 years to see, hey, she said all these things, did she actually attain and achieve them? And I guarantee you that I will do my best to make sure that everything I promise will get done. And so with that, I hope that you can join me and support me and be victorious in November 8th for a better Orange County for all of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that. And Mayor Sarmiento, 1-minute closing statement, please.
Great. I just want to thank all of you in the audience and Councilmember Nguyen as well for joining us. I think, for me, I think I found the city when I came in as mayor in 2020, and fiscally unhealthy and physically unhealthy. We were going through a pandemic. We didn't know what was happening with our resources. We are now one of the healthiest cities. We have the highest rates of vaccination, some of the lowest rates of positivity with COVID, and we now have over $40 million in surplus. We have over $76 million in the fiscal reserve. We're AA rated in our credit rating, and we also were considered one of the best managed cities in the state. So for me, that's been a sense of pride because my successor will be receiving a city much different than ours. We've been able to invest in businesses, giving them grants. We've been able to make sure that people have rental assistance. We've been able to improve our sidewalks, roads, and for me, it's been the honor of my life to serve you as residents here in the city, and I hope that I'll be able to represent you at the county level. It'll be the first time in 74 years that somebody from San Ana will be on the board of supervisors.
Thank you very much. If I could, round of applause for everybody. off great. I know both of you are very busy. There's food in the back, and that is compliments of High School Inc. We're also doing the FaceTime and videoing here, so shout out to them, and we'll say all this again when we start next time. The mayor's candidates forum will be next. We're going to start that in about 15 minutes at 5:45, so please get some food. Thank you, everybody. We'll be back.
Yeah.
I'm with the chamber.
I've been kind of watching the cities.
Folks, we're going to start 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Is it off the button? Oh, no. Oh, come in here. Would help, huh?
Good luck, Miss Valerie. Thank you, everybody. We'll get started. We will move on to the Mayor's Candidates Forum. And I would like to reintroduce myself for those who are just arriving. My name is Bill Erkey. I am a co-chair of the Government Affairs Council here at the Santa Ana Chamber of Commerce. I'm also a board member. I'm a partner at Rutan & Tucker, but most importantly, I'm a resident here in Santa Ana. I'm very proud of this city and a big believer in these type of candidate forums to let the candidates speak and provide their ideas. I would like to make a disclosure that we have been advised that there may have been inappropriate remarks or comments relating to the mayor and council member elections, and the Santa Ana Chamber of Commerce does not and will not tolerate any of that. So if everybody could please keep that in mind, and we appreciate your cooperation. Getting to the format of how the mayor's candidates forum will run, there will be 2 minutes for opening statements to each candidate. I will be providing a series of questions to which each candidate will have 1 minute to answer and respond. And then after the series of questions, you'll be allowed to have a 1 minute closing statement. We're not going to do the rebuttals, and if you were here for the supervisor's race, the rebuttals seem to be passed over anyway. We've got plenty of questions, and I know there's plenty of information that the candidates would like to provide. So with that, I would like to go ahead and start. We have three candidates here. I'm going to let each one introduce, yes, thank you, Tim. Forgot to mention to the candidates and for everybody here. Tim Jamal sitting front and center up here in probably the coolest shirt that Dan is wearing today, will be our timekeeper, and we'll be flashing the time you have left, so be watching him as well as when you're providing your responses. And again, thank you to High School Inc. The students have provided the food, and they are doing the video, the FaceTime right now. We appreciate their participation again for this forum. With that, I would like to start by letting the candidates introduce themselves, and this will be the 2 minute opening statement, and I'm going to go right down the road here, if I could. Valerie Amethwa, if you could please give your 2 minute introduction.
Hello, my name is Valerie Amethwa, and I'm running for mayor in the city of Santa Ana. My family's been here for almost about a little over 90 years. I'm retired from the Orange County Probation Department as a supervising probation officer, and I've had a wide range of assignments in that department, which has helped me in my training and my leadership and taught me about servant leadership. I understand the process of being in the service department, as well as helping people, but also holding people accountable when needed for the protection of the community, because that is very important. I'm married and I have a son who's 30 years old, and I think soon to be Supervisor Nguyen was talking about being able to buy a piece of property. That's very close and personal to me, because my son also had to move out of Orange County to buy a small condo because he couldn't afford to live here in Santa Ana or in Orange County. I've been sitting on the Santa Ana Unified School Board for 8 years. Out of those 8 years, 5 have been as president and vice president. I led the movement for the 56 wellness centers that opened up in the entire city. And also, we expanded mental health services. Initially, our social workers at the district were at like 1,000 to 1, and with my push, the board approved 250 to 1. So I take pride in the work that I've done at Santa Ana Unified. There's a lot more to do in the city, and I'm a proud resident here, and I plan on staying here until the day I die, and I'm not going anywhere. And I serve people. I don't own a business here. I don't owe anybody any money, and it's great because I don't owe anybody anything other than my servant leadership. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the opening statement. And Sal Tianero, do you mind going next 2 minutes, opening statement?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for putting this together. My name is Sal Tianero. I have been an educator for over 26 years and a small business owner. In 2006, I was selected as the National Hispanic Teacher of the Year and flown to the White House. I was presented the award by former First Lady Laura Bush. In 2009 and in 2015, the California School Board Association awarded me the Golden Bell for excellence in education. And I just found out 2 weeks ago that we will be receiving our third and the first for SIUSD, so we get to partner in that one. In 2018, I was the California Educator of the Year. And the reason I bring that up, it's not so that I can share awards, it's because I want you to know that when I go and do a job, and the job is to protecting the interest of our students and our young people, I take that very seriously. I work long hours because I'm giving back to a community, because we're giving back to the future leaders of this community. As an elected, I was elected to the school board at 29 years of age as one of the youngest elected in Orange County at that time. I served from 2000 to 2006. In that time, I pushed forward a comprehensive sex ed program that was not something that was easy to do back then. As a city council member, I served at city council from 2006 to 2018. We did so much, and I hope to explain what we did there. And currently, I serve as a board of trustees for Rancho Santiago Community College. I am the only candidate running for mayor who has served in all 3 municipalities. And every time I leave on a good note. People want to work with me. I'm the person that could bring us together and help us maximize what we have. I've spent my whole career here at volunteering as a Pop Warner coach, Little League coach. I helped the first Santa Ana Pony get started. I created the speech and debate team, which has won 4 middle school national titles and 2 national high school titles. And our team from 2021, there's a movie being made about them. I love the city. I believe that I am the most qualified to be mayor. Thank you.
Thank you for the opening statement. And Jesse Nestor, would you please give your 2-minute opening statement now?
Hi there, I'm Jesse Nestor, a server and a student that's actually attending SAC right now. And I never thought I'd come this young, at this time in this place, to run for this office this young. And I came here out of a frustration, out of the status quo. I don't see us going in the right direction. You know, my family's been here since the 80s, and like everybody, I'm just trying to own a house, trying to build a career. But in 2008, like everybody, we fell into a recession, which everybody lost their savings, and they lost their homes. And I see that happening today, especially during the lockdowns, when business owners were not allowed to operate, and when workers were told they were not imported, they weren't qualified to work. We lost all our savings, and because of that, we're gonna lose our homes and we're gonna lose our families. You know, it's shocking to see that our kids and, well, your kids, to leave Santa Ana. They don't want to live here because it's just getting too out of control in terms of pricing. And I don't see our leadership going in the right direction. I see them trying to fix the solution, but I don't think it's the right way. You know, I'm here out of frustration because, you know, I want to move policies that are different than what we had before. Win or lose, the candidates have to know, and, you know, they will know, that we are here because of the frustration of the status quo. That this city is not going in the same direction, so we can't be making the same mistakes of our leaders of yesterday. That we can't be making the same mistakes as other cities, and that we have to implement new ideas. I yield my time.
Thank you for the opening statement. Very much appreciate each of the candidates being here, and I will now begin the series of questions. And I'm going to just mix up who starts, and again, each person will have 1 minute to provide their answer to the same question. Sal, I'll start in the middle. If I can start with you. This is question number 1. The Santa Ana City Council can be divided on many issues important to the business climate in Santa Ana. How will you, as mayor, be a unifying voice on issues important to the business community?
Thank you very much for your question. As I stated before, everywhere, if you were to ask the staffs at all 3 municipalities that I've been an elected official, and you ask them, hey, can I pull you aside, who do you really want to be mayor? it's going to be a resounding, oh my gosh, Saladin ahead. I don't put people down in public because when you do that, people talk and then people don't want to apply into our city and we lose good people. We need to be a unifier, a person that can come together with people who even have a different frame of thinking. Because together we win. We have enough enemies on the outside. We need to be able to be successful here on the inside. I am a unifier. If you talk to any elected official, even elected officials on the city council, I have the majority of the school board that's endorsed me. But even city council members who haven't endorsed me have called me privately and said, Sal, I can work with you. And when people say that, it gives me optimism that we are running a positive campaign. We're not mudslinging, we're running a positive campaign, just letting people know what we're about. And at the end, you get to choose. And today, I believe you're going to get to see the difference in the candidates. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jesse, same question, 1 minute response, please.
So I'm willing to work with any of the council members who is willing to work on single issue coalitions that we could work on. I'm not going to compromise on the ideals of anything or force them to compromise, but I will work on single issue coalitions to solve the problems in our city that we have today.
Thank you very much. And Valerie, same question?
Repeat the question?
Absolutely. The Santa Ana City Council can be divided on many issues important to the business climate in Santa Ana. How would you, as mayor, be a unifying voice on issues important to the business community?
Thank you. So what's really important for all of us to know is that none of us in this room will agree on everything. There are many of us that will sit at a table and we disagree and we can learn how to disagree agreeably. Yes, the council is split and the mayor will bring them together hopefully to make this city a better place. Everybody comes from different walks of life. On the school board, the 4 of us got along very well. School board changed, dynamics change, as we all know that have been around the city a long time. When people come into office, things do change and people have different agendas. When we talk about the businesses in the city of Santa Ana, I've been meeting with all of them for months now, for a long time. And I hear the same thing. We're not friendly at the city to them. It takes them a long time. It's hard to get a hold of people. We walk in, we want to be accepted. We want to have conversation with people. That is very important, that when you talk about customer service, so whether it's the business entity or whether it's any other department in the city, that's what we want people to feel. We want them to feel part of the process. And if other people say, well, I'm the one, sorry, that was a minute? Wow.
Finish your thought. Finish your statement.
Just throw something at me.
He's correct, sorry, he's correct.
No, that's okay.
Appreciate the answer to all three.
You can finish your thought.
You want to finish it?
You can finish the
You can finish
sentence.
the
My
sentence.
thought is just that we need to make the business feel invited into the city. And that's what I'll be doing as the mayor.
Thank you for finishing that. Next question, Jesse, I'd like to start with you on this one. If elected, are you in favor of hiring more police? If yes or no, please explain. 1 minute.
I would be in favor if they're willing to protect and serve the city. I'd be willing to hire them if they're willing to take social programs so that they could actually de-escalate a situation when it arises. I want to hire police who want to enforce protecting people's properties and people themselves. I don't want them arresting people for a minor code restriction. I want them to serve people and to protect them. Here's my time.
Thank you for the response. Valerie, same question. And I'm happy to repeat it to any.
Yes, please do.
If elected, are you in favor of hiring more police? If yes or no, please explain.
Yes, I am in favor. The number one issue in the city of Santa Ana with all of the residents that I've been talking to is public safety. We cannot have businesses come in the city if they don't feel safe, they will not come. People want to live here, they want to work here, they want to be able to walk downtown to lunch. They do not feel safe. One of the reasons why I threw my hat in for mayor is I no longer feel safe in my city. And that is a shame that you can't walk your dog, you don't feel safe shopping. So yes, but it's not just about hiring additional police officers. It's balancing it so that you have programs, but you have police officers. And we need to go back to the sense of community policing. We need to flip that script about police officers are bad. When you need somebody, you call 911. They're gonna come. Right now, they can't always come because there's not enough of them. So I just want to be clear that I don't just support just police. I support the balance of both of them, and I've been doing it my whole life, and I did it on the school board, and I will do it as the mayor with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. Sal, same question.
Thank you very much. The city council just increased 100 more police officers on the street. I support increasing our police officers, but I also believe in changing the way that we manage policing. Number one, I want to send a mental health expert with a police officer that understands what happens in a domestic abuse situation, or if someone has been raped, or if there's just an altercation between families. I want someone to be able to come in and de-escalate. We need to create a police oversight committee because, as my opponent Jesse stated, we want to make sure that the police are here to serve and protect us. The police oversight committee will be comprised of citizens. We want to create incentives for policing to be the type of policing that is going to attract and make people feel that they can call the police department. Right now we have a segment in our population that does not trust law enforcement. We need to change that, and by creating these elements into policing, we will.
Thank you for the responses, candidates. Moving on to the next question, and Valerie, let's start with you on this one. Ballot Measure W would revise the city's business license tax code for the first time in over 25 years, with the intent to make it more equitable for small businesses in the city. Do you support or not support Measure W, and why?
I'll support it because when it comes to businesses, we need to not only welcome them again if they feel safe, we also need to make them be part of the process. And it's not just supporting it, but as mayor, it's leading it and looking at it and what needs to be tweaked so that it benefits not only the businesses coming, but the community members that live in the city. At the end of the day, what the council and the mayor should do, and some of them do, is they include the community. And what are you looking for? This business wants to open here. How is it going to affect this community? What is it going to change there? Those are the things that we need to look at. There's really no right or wrong answer or black and white. I work in the gray. Spending 30 years in law enforcement, I understand the gray. And I want to make a correction. The city council did not just approve hiring 100 officers. The city council approved hiring 8 officers. And so when you talk about businesses, they're not going to feel safe to come here unless, again, I'm going to go back, they feel safe. And so, yes, I will support it, and I will work personally with the businesses, but also the community members, so that, stop. No, I'm going to work very closely with the business communities and the community.
Okay, thank you for the response. Sal, same question.
Thank you. Well, I would have to disagree with the last comment, but we can always go ahead and vet that later. But in the meantime, right now, I am a small business owner, as I stated earlier, and my business is the type of business where I believe in revenue share. So all my employees every year get a bonus check. 25% of my profit goes to them. It's a minority majority business. Primarily women are in the forefront. And I have also talked to many small business owners, and we've talked about this. So I would support this measure. And I believe that we need to create more incentives, especially for businesses who take care of their employees, who provide health care, who provide 401ks, and who also engage in, by the way, I failed to say this, we also, every single one of my employees has a livable wage. So for companies that hit all those marks, I think we need to create extended incentives because they are truly giving back to the community. So yes, I do support it. Thank you.
Jesse, same question. Would you like me to repeat it, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Ballot Measure W would revise the city's business license tax code for the first time in over 25 years with the intent to make it more equitable for small businesses in the city. Do you support or not support Measure W, and why?
I don't support Measure W, but not for the reasons stated above. I do not support it because, in general, I would be in support of abolishing every tax in the city so that every business owner can have a chance, and expanding and cutting the red tape so that at-home private property owners can actually open their own businesses in their community, and the community can then decide whether that business should stay or not, as everything. And not just that, so that business owners don't have an excuse as to why they can't pay their employees more than minimum wage, and to allow employees or unions to negotiate pay and benefits.
Thank you. Thank you for the response, candidates. We'll be moving on to the next question, And Sal, I'd like to start with you on this one. The construction of the OC streetcar has caused disruptions for small businesses and business operations in general in downtown Santa Ana. What can be done to assist these businesses that have been impacted by the construction process?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I am deeply sorry that our business owners have had to suffer what they suffered. The streetcar was put into place years ago by former Mayor Miguel, and I believe that he had tunnel vision when it came to that. And I also believe that the current supervisor majority really doesn't care too much about our community, and I'll make that statement public. Because we got hurt during COVID, and we were hurt during this project, because they didn't plan ahead and think about the mom and pop businesses that have worked their entire life to be in Calle Cuatro in downtown Santa Ana, a place where we all had a haven when we were kids, because that was the place that we could shop for the things that were familiar to us. And so what ends up happening is, because they didn't plan to help those businesses, which are primarily brown businesses, this is what you get. Once again, they've let us down. They weren't there for our community. They didn't plan ahead and be forward-looking when it came to this project. So now it falls on us, and I'll wrap it right here. It falls on us. I believe one of the best ways to move forward is to elect Vicente Sarmiento to the Orange County Supervisor, because with him and myself as mayor, we will be able to work together to bring the proper revenue into the city. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. Jesse, same question.
So I would stop audit and replace those in charge for voting and in charge of the contract for that streetcar. We were lied to in terms of when it would be finished, and we were lied to in terms of the budget. Calle Cuatro is dying because not only were they not allowed to operate during the lockdowns, when they were allowed to open, they were disrupted by all the construction. And because of that, we are facing consequences. Those business owners are losing money. They're losing the businesses. And now they're losing out to everybody from outside of Santa Ana. And that's what I propose, to stop auditing and replace those who are responsible. And I agree with Tina Hedl that the supervisors don't care about us, and which is why they were, they all voted unanimously for it essentially. But not just that, but I believe the leadership of the four, in terms of council, who were responsible for voting for it. So that would be my proposal.
Thank you for the response. Valerie, same question. Repeat it. The construction of the OC streetcar has caused disruptions for small businesses and business operations in general in downtown Santa Ana. What can be done to assist these businesses that have been impacted by the construction process?
First of all, I mean, very clear. This would not be taking place if it was the city of Orange, the city of Newport Beach, or any other city. It's happening in Santa Ana because that's how people look at us. And the current leaders that we have, our current mayor, should have taken a position to say, it's not gonna happen here in my city. So let's fix it. He also sits on the OCTA board. I've been to those meetings. I've met with the downtown business owners. It's terrible. They've lost their homes, they've lost their businesses. And what have we done? This has not just been happening this year. It's been happening from other people that are sitting up here that were on the council, and this got approved and moving forward. It went from, I believe, to a $250 million project to now over $600 million. So who's holding people accountable? It's very easy to point fingers at other people and say, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But if you're the leader and you're sitting on the council and you're the mayor, you need to be able to step forward to say, with your team, not alone, but as a team, as a community, say, I'm gonna hold you all accountable, and this is not gonna happen in Santa Ana. You're no longer going to dump on us. You're gonna respect us, and we're gonna make sure this is done in a timely manner. Again, I don't just come out during election time. I've been meeting with downtown business for quite some time. Thank you for letting me finish.
Thank you for the response. Moving on to the next question, and Jesse, I'd like to start with you for this one. Are you supportive of inclusionary housing ordinances to address California's shortage of affordable housing? And explain why or why not.
So I propose instead that we zone and allow families to build properties on unused businesses or build businesses on top of the property in order to deal with that, in order to save space so that others can have housing for themselves as well. That would save space, and that would increase, the amount of availability, which would lower cost.
Thank you for the response. Valerie, same question, 1 minute.
You repeat it?
Sure. Are you supportive of inclusionary housing ordinances to address California's shortage of affordable housing? Why or why not?
So I am in support of it, but I would like to say that it's not just apartment complexes that we need in the city of Santa Ana. We need affordable condos, we need affordable townhomes, we need the ability for young people who live here, or even people my age, I'm a little older, to be able to afford to live in the city of Santa Ana. We cannot just keep building 602 units like we're doing on First Street. Where are those kids going to play? Where are they going to shop? And it's very important to look around the community where they're building these large apartment complexes. What are they doing to the community? Where's the closest market? What about transportation? And so what I am looking for is a plan to say, we're gonna build condos here, townhomes here, affordable. Because I may not be able to buy $1 million home, which I cannot, but I can buy a condo. As the next supervisor, Kim Lynn, said, she paid, $300,000. We can do the same in Santa Ana. But it's really having a strategic plan, being very clear and giving staff direction on what is it that our community needs and what do they want, and how do we do that? We listen to you, we meet with you, and we include you in the process. That's what it's about, bringing people together. Because as leaders, we don't just sit up there, hold a title. We are servants, we are servant leaderships, and that's what I take pride that I'm a servant leader. I don't serve myself, I serve my constituents. I say that all the time because that's what I was elected to do. So when it comes to the housing market, I will be looking for condos, apartments, and townhomes.
Can you wrap it up? The time is there. There we go.
He's my favorite person on it. And I like his shirt.
Sal, same question.
Thank you very much. I agree with everything Board Member Valerie Musico stated. The only difference is I'm going to give you a plan on how we get it done. First, SB 6 and AB 211 has just been signed by the Governor of California. So what does that mean? It means that we can be creative when it comes to housing. I used to live on Stanford Street over by Stater Brothers on Edinger and Fairview. And if you face Stater Brothers, the parking lot on the left is never used. Well, under this, you can create a parking structure to alleviate traffic from the residential areas. But you could also build housing in empty lots that we have here in the city. So the game plan is this: go apply for those affordable housing credits. Let's go to those vacant lots that we own and create housing there. Let's go to our underused commercial areas that now the governor has rezoned where we can build housing. The gates have now been opened. We have, as Mayor Sarmiento stated, $76 million in reserve, and we have over $40 million in overflow funds. We have the ability for the first time to move forward and help solve and move in the right direction in acquiring more housing for our community, and at the same time getting the parking situation alleviated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the responses, candidates. I'll move on to the next question. Valerie, I'd like to start with you on this one. The state has embraced climate change and taking actions to combat climate change. The city of Santa Ana has passed a resolution to phase out natural gas in homes and move to electrification. Do you support the city's resolution? And if so, how would you propose to implement the phase out citywide as mayor, especially to those who may not have the means or resources for the transition?
So as of today, I do not support that because there are so many people in our community, myself included, who could not afford to do that. So I would not support it today. I would work with the council and I would work with the community again to put a plan in place on how we can do this over time. Because it's great that they sign bills, it's great that they tell us to do these things, but who's going to pay for it? If you ask all of our community members to change everything in their home, and who's going to pay for that? Are we gonna go around giving $300 gift cards with COVID funding? Guess what? That money was just one time, it's gone. What are we going to do? If you look at our rating, we have a fiscal health D grade rating. And so I love hearing how we're healthy financially. But if you do the research and truth in accounting, we have a D rate because we're depending so much on Measure X funding, right? The 9.2% tax that people approved. It's going to sunset. And what's going to happen then? So how do you tell residents you're going to do A, B, and C in your home, and who's going to pay for it? We're going to leave it up to you. And maybe we might even start fining you about it. I will not support it at this time.
Thank you for the response. Sal, same question.
Thank you. First, I do support it. First and foremost, the infrastructure is in place. I don't believe people are going to have to change their pipes or any of that matter. But we have you just heard, we have over $40 million that is excess funding. On top of that, $76 million in reserves. Ladies and gentlemen, we never had more than 30% or 30 million in reserves. We have the ability to do this. In the United States and in our community, right now, it's not a matter of do we have the funding to do it, it's a matter of will. Is there a will to protect our environment so that my kids and my grandkids can have a life where we don't have to worry about rising sea levels, we don't have to worry about smog causing other carcinogens coming into your system? We've hit a threshold where I don't know if we're able to reverse what we have, but at least we can slow it down. So anything that we do that way, I think it's something. If anything that we do to slow it down, I think is important. And you have to get started sometime. You have to get started sometime. And what you do is you learn from your mistakes and you improve. You learn from your mistakes and you improve. But if you don't even try it, then we're in the same rut. Then there is no solvency. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. Jesse, same question.
I do not approve it. We can't afford it, and for those people who vote on it, if they want to pay for it so bad, we'll let them. If they want to pay for it so bad, they will. And pretty soon they're not going to pay for it because they don't actually support it. And I'd argue instead that if you actually want to go for a more environmental policy, I'd say we use lease public space towards companies for energy so that we could save money on electricity and gas and we don't have to use those resources, so that we don't have to pollute. I'd also propose that we start working with the state and the supervisors to open more energy plants so we can actually afford the electricity we have, so that we can support that infrastructure. Because you could argue we do have that infrastructure, but at what cost? And it's at a high cost. So I'd love to work with the supervisors and whoever wins, or even the state on that.
Thank you for the responses, candidates. We'll move on to the next question. And Sal, I'd like to start with you on this one.
Okay.
Try to keep going on the line. I don't know if I'm going exactly down the line, but we're going to try to keep moving it along. Next question. The city of Santa Ana recently adopted the first rent control ordinance in Orange County. Are you in favor of rent control, and do you support the city's ordinance? Why or why not?
Thank you very much for your question. I've been a teacher for over 26 years, and there's something that I know. Is I ask my students, so talk to me, where do you live? You know, so do you live, is it just you and your parents? And it's always, I live with my uncle, my grandmother lives with us. It's always multi-family dwellings. And see, when you grew up like me, I grew up and my parents immigrated. I lived in a garage. Eventually my parents made a little more money. We were able to move into the house. We didn't have to deal with the cold and the heat of a garage. Eventually we were able to rent the house and rent rooms out to others. It is something that I have lived, and I see the hardship that it has on children when you have multifamily dwellings. More importantly, rents were going out of control and people were being displaced. You can't say you're forced with solving homelessness and creating a policy to slow homelessness down or solve it if you're not going to stabilize rents. So I support what our council did. I'm proud of them for doing it because it was a bold move. Santa Ana has always been first in everything. We were first in regulating cannabis. We went out there and we put up the rainbow flag, and they were the first in this now. And guess what? As an educator, I was happy to hear that my students didn't have to move out of their homes, while surrounding cities increased their rents by 5 to 15%. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. Jesse, same question.
I would say the truest form of rent control would be the abolition of property tax. I would say that to end the rising costs, I would call to berate the congressman and anybody in charge to call on the Federal Reserve and to have them audit it and end it, to stop the printing of money and stop touching with interest rates, which provides an excuse for banks to give out money, to then put them, the owners, under mortgages that they can't afford, that they lose their houses. And not only that, not houses, but apartment complexes that are also under the same system. They're forced to not only pay more, but with rent control in place, you have them justify or even excuse to getting rid of maintenance or to stop lowering the cost. If you wanted to lower the rents in Santa Ana, I'd say you abolish property tax, that you actually have the developers fight for your dollar rather than fight you.
Thank you for the response. Valerie, same question. Would you like me to repeat it?
Always.
Happy to do so. The city of Santa Ana recently adopted the first rent control ordinance in Orange County. Are you in favor of rent control, and do you support the city's ordinance? Why or why not?
So I'm not the mayor yet, but I can guarantee you when I get in there, we're gonna reevaluate that and look at it. Bottom line is, I'm gonna always do what's best for my constituents. But I'm also going to look at property owners. I have voters that I'm meeting with that are saying, I own a small duplex. 2 of my renters are paying rent, the other 2 are not. I'm about to lose my property. What are we doing for them? And I'm not saying, let me be clear here, because people will leave here and say, she doesn't support rent control, because that's how it goes. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we have to, again, look at everybody. Sometimes the mayor and others listen to the loudest voices in the room. And that is not how we do business and how we run a city. Because as mayor, I will serve all of my constituents, not just one particular group. And so looking at rent control, it's very important. Do I want to displace people? No, I do not. But one of the elements that I read says, you can allow anybody to join the lease. So if you bring somebody in that's going to start selling drugs or human trafficking, things of that nature, and bring that element to your apartment complex, you will not be able to get them out. And so how do we address that? And so I've been in law enforcement a long time, on the school district and in this community. And people will disagree with me, I understand that. But I'm gonna be a mayor who's gonna be very active, meeting not only with the community, but also with the owners and property owners, because that's what you need to do, to listen to both sides and come to a happy place where we can all agree. I saw the stop sign.
Thank you for the response, Candace. Appreciate it. Jesse, I'd like to start with you on the next question. Are there any policies or initiatives that you would support to help the city's cannabis retailers, as they are a significant employer in the city? Why or why not?
I would support any policy that would abolish any tax and to have revenue come in from outside the city due to the lower prices. They don't have to live in here to buy from the city. We could get revenues from other cities so that we could actually fund our city. But again, removing taxes, I have proposed a new system of a lottery system, one that has like in California, so we can actually fund our schools and fund our city better than we have now.
Thank you for the response. Valerie, same question. Would you like me to repeat it? Okay. Are there any policies or initiatives that you would support to help the city's cannabis retailers, as they are a significant employer in the city? Why or why not?
Well, I want to thank the city council. The last meeting, they did make some changes that are going to be beneficial for our city, so I do want to thank them. The last fiscal year, the cannabis brought in $67 million to this city. I don't know if you're all aware of that, $67 million. So it's really important that we look at how that money is being spent. 1/3 should be going to youth, 1/3 should be going to public safety, and the rest of it we put in the general fund. So as the mayor, I will continue to work with them and support them, but I also look at how we can work together to bring more programs into our city, because some of that can be going into our educational sites, some of our school sites, to help with programs we have there. We can expand the PAL program, we can have it throughout the city. We can bring in more mental health services with that money. So it's not just saying this bucket of money here, this bucket of money there, but really thinking out of the box and working in the gray. And when I say working in the gray, it's not doing anything illegal, it's working in the gray. And I'm very good at that. And so this young lady here, we were talking about cannabis, and I welcome that. I'm meeting with them to hear what they have to offer, what they want to do in our city. And so I look forward to working with them and expanding their services to help our city.
Thank you. Sal, same question.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I interact with the cannabis owners, and the reason is there's a little bit of love between us and them, and that's because we were the first ones to regulate it. And the two people that spearheaded that was myself when I was on the city council and our current mayor, Vicente Sarmiento. The only difference was I was the spokesperson. I didn't even run a campaign for re-election. Everything was about the measure. And I got more votes than I ever did. So the community really came out. 66% voted for this. So I have been working with them and talking to them about what their issues are. We know what their issues are. We're going to continue to fix those. The first one was a step in the right direction, and that was our council just did that and they reduced the tax, which makes us more competitive. But we want to expand to manufacturing. We want to keep them in the industrial zone so that they don't infiltrate and affect our residents and our quality of life. So I've been at this from day one. I will continue to make it better, and we will be the example, and that we continue to be right now for the rest of the county and the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Candace. Thank you for the responses. I have two more questions, and then we'll be going to closing statements. Valerie, I'd like to start with you on this next question. Santa Ana has a transit occupancy tax without all of the tourism product or products of surrounding cities in the county. How can the city better allocate that revenue to support the community's arts and culture, which is one of the top points of interest to visitors?
Great question, thank you. So being on the board with Santa Ana Unified, we have truly expanded the VAPA program there, receiving grants, and the board allocated funding. And so I'll be doing the same thing in the city, working with our arts and our culture to make Santa Ana a place, again, where people want to come to, they want to work here, and they want to live. But the first thing is to make sure they feel safe. And so no matter what the question is, no matter what item we're going to look at, please be mindful that everything that we do in the city cannot be done if we do not feel safe. And so I'm going to always go back to that, because if you drive down Bristol Street, and yes, we own a lot of vacant lots, there are homeless people that are living there, and they have their own little houses, and they're there. And I am not trying to criminalize them in any way, shape, or form. We need to provide assistance. But when we talk about expanding arts, culture, businesses, all of these things, you cannot do it. Nobody's going to want to come here, and very few people want to come here. Let me correct myself. If they do not feel safe, and if they do not see that the leadership in the city is making a difference. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. Sal, start with you next. Same question.
Thank you. I want to make sure we get something on the record. We're creating this narrative that Santa Ana is this war zone. It's a great place to live, and it's a great place to have your business. But the arts, I get excited, because when you create arts and you infiltrate it into business, like our downtown, what happens is artists have a place to showcase their work. Then what happens? People need to eat and have something to drink. It creates business, restaurants. That's the second phase. The third phase is people are having a meal, they're watching art, they want to go shopping, and then it creates commerce. This is the way it works. In every city where there has been a problem or things have broken down, the arts revive it. So yes, Santa Ana Unified is doing a good job by promoting the arts, and I love that. But we have to create and expand the opportunity for art across all our city, not just the downtown. Let's put something down in the South Coast Village. Let's put something down on South Main Street or on the West End, and grow our communities and our businesses and our infrastructure the way we have done in downtown and other places. The governor just signed the AB 211. It gives us the opportunity to do this now. So I will tackle that as mayor. I will tackle that and make sure that Santa Ana is a destination location. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. Jesse, same question.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure thing. Santa Ana has a transient occupancy tax without the tourism products, or without all of the tourism products of surrounding cities in the county. How can the city better allocate that revenue to support the community's arts and culture, which is one of the top points of interest in the city?
So I agree with Pinheiro on his point. I think we should expand art across the city. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Of In terms of the revenue, I guess I wouldn't argue for spending more money for that art, but I guess if, based on the quota for that art, I guess we could make those negotiations. But, just allowing people to create art in their businesses at home, just without stopping them, without fear of enforcement or codes against it, I would abolish all of that.
Okay, thank you for the responses, candidates, and I will move on to the last question before closing statements. Somewhat dovetails into some of the items we were just discussing. Sal, I'd like to start with you on this one. How would you promote and improve economic development in the city? Again, building off of what you may just said.
All right, so let me expand on it. I've already started. When I came to the school district in 2016, they said, Sal, we want you to start a district-wide speech and debate program. We started it, it took off like wildfire. We won 4 middle school national championships and 2 high school national championships. So what I said is, hey, let's do this. No K through 12 school district has ever hosted the college national speech and debate tournament. Let's put in a bid. With the, once again, relationships that I have, people understand me, I have credibility. It was the first time in history that the colleges said, all right, we'll give it a shot. It was one of the best events they ever had. 1,000 people from all over the United States came here, stayed in our hotels, ate at our restaurants, and loved it. That's why that narrative frustrated me so much. They loved our city. They want to come back, so much so that we got the bid this year, right after COVID. So we're bringing them back here. That's economic development. Create programs within our city that elevate us to the national level, that attract people to come to us. And when those college students graduate and have their families, they're going to visit California and they're going to come right back to the city that they know. And they're going to want to show their families where they took them when they were college students. It's what you do to start the ball rolling. So I only have a minute. I wish I had more time because I can do 2 other ones. But thank you very much.
Thank you for the response. Jesse, same question.
So I propose of abolition of every tax and regulation in Santa Ana that hurts any local business owner and only local entrepreneur who wants to start a business here in Santa Ana. I propose a city lottery system that would increase revenue, and all that revenue can be used for the city, and any surplus can be used to pay off any state or federal taxes that people can have. Because once people have those funds, they'll provide what they want, they can buy what they want, and they buy what they need. They can get their families what they need, and so they can stop struggling throughout these inflationary times. I'd also argue for a dezoning and deregulation of Santa Ana to allow people to actually open businesses, to own homes, and to own anything they want and they desire, as long as it doesn't violate anybody's rights.
Thank you for the response. And Valerie, same question. Would you like me to repeat it? Okay. How would you promote and improve economic development in the city?
So we definitely work with the community and city staff to put a plan together. And how are we going to do this? Again, reaching out to the businesses, the school district, the colleges, and the community, because we do not make all the decisions here, and we shouldn't. The community needs to be involved at all levels. And I love how we talk about speech and debate all the time. And I want to be really clear that Santa Ana Unified funds that program. It was brought to us by the Kiwanis Club. And yes, Mr. Tinajero was hired to run that program, and he's done very well for himself, opening a business and being at multiple school sites. But it's not just speech and debate that's going to bring economic development. And nowhere did I say there was a war zone going on. But Santa Ana in the city of 2021, 43% spike in crime. I'm a data person. That's what I do for a living. I've done it for 35, 40 years. So when people stand up here and say it's a war zone, those words never came out of my mouth. But I will tell you, I was in the gang unit during the 80s and the early 90s, and it was very, very, very challenging. No, we're not in those times anymore, and I work the street, so I have a very different lens than anybody sitting up here. Because you can speak well, and you can pontificate, and you can sound great. I can do that too. But let's get down to business, right, and let's make Santa Ana a better place.
That's right.
That was the last question, and the last answer for the last question. So we now will be moving on to the 1-minute closing statements. Jesse, I'd like to start with you, and then Valerie, and then Sal. So, again, 1 minute, give or take. Have to look at what the timekeeper does.
I've never had so much power in my life.
Jesse, go on ahead. Thank you.
I know as a community we can all differ in terms of opinions and views, and I'm not asking you to unify, I'm just asking you to not hurt each other or to not hurt your neighbors. You know, we all want the same goals, we just want to implement them differently. And again, I'm just seeing most leaders and future leaders going in the wrong direction and staying in the wrong direction. They see the solution, just not the way how to get there. I don't know how to run your life. Nothing gives me the power to run your life. The charter, the constitution, the state constitution, it doesn't allow me that power to run your life. And we've been letting the status quo run our life for so long, and they've been ruining our city. And it's time we stand up for it. It's time we take action.
Thank you for the closing statement. Valerie, you're next.
All right, where's my timer? So first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here, because you could be anywhere tonight, but you're here listening to the candidates that are ready for mayor and want to serve you. And I would say when you leave here, really think about the answers that you heard. Go onto the web pages, talk to your neighbors, talk to people who live around you who you don't even know. Top 3 issues: public safety, homelessness, and housing. So 2 of the candidates that are running have had 20 plus years of experience in leadership. What is their legacy? I would say to you, what have they done for you? Santa Ana is in a place, and we're heading to a place where it's going to take us a very long time to come back from. So as your mayor, I can guarantee you that I'm going to work with all of you. Even if we disagree, we're going to come together and find a place that we can work together. Because my job as the mayor will be make sure that all constituents, not just a small group, and not just the loudest in the room, but all constituents are served by the mayor and the council. And not just one group that says, well, I'm investing this kind of money. No, I'm going to serve each and every one of you. And yes, public safety is very important to me, because without it, you don't feel safe to live here. You don't feel safe to shop here. You don't feel safe to go to school here. Kids are not safe walking to school. There are naked people doing drugs in front of our school sites, and nothing is done about it. And not because police cannot, there's not enough of them. There's not enough of them. And yes, we need social workers, and yes, we need to expand the program. But I'm telling you, as mayor, and yes, I'm retired. Somebody said, well, she doesn't have a job. No, I'm retired after 30 years of serving my community. And I retired because I had medical issues, my gun hand, my back, car accident. So whatever you want to say about me, but I will tell you something. I will not sit up here and say I'm an expert in everything, because I'm going to be working with those of you who can come to the table and say, let's talk about homelessness and how do we address it. Let's talk about businesses, how do we address it now? Because I'm a great connector. And yes, I'm very passionate. I crack up when people say that, she's a woman. No, you know what it is? I'm invested in this community. That's right. This is my home. My grandmother immigrated here. And yes, like Mr. Tinajero, I stepped in a room with 5 people. My grandmother raised me. My mother was 14 when she had me, and let me finish this. But I don't sit up here and play victim. Yes. So I just want to say to you, I will serve you, and I will serve you well.
2 minutes? Okay. Sal, if you'd like to take 2 minutes.
Thank you.
And Jess, if you'd like to add, let me know.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who put this together. I really appreciate it. My name is Sal Tinajero. My parents immigrated from Mexico. I stayed and lived in a garage. We were able to move into the house. Eventually, we bought a little 2-bedroom house with 1 bath. Then one day, my father got to enjoy that house for about 4 years. And then one day, there was a knock at the door, and it was a police officer. And my mom said, "Can you come and see him? Because I don't speak English." And I did. And he told me that my father had been shot and he had been murdered. I was the oldest in my family. It was 1 week before my 15th birthday. And I decided that I had to be an example for my family and for my brother and sister. I am proud to say they've all been college educated. I didn't know how I was going to make it through, but I figured out a way. Speech and debate was what broke me out of poverty. My passion has been to break other students out of poverty with that. I take a little bit of offense because the school district spends a lot of money on a lot of programs that suck. But this program has won national championships because it's the people inside who work and care about the kids. So let's not minimize the work that's done by the staff at the Santa Ana Unified School District to make that program strong. Second, I did not become bitter. Instead, I used the tools that were used to help me break out of poverty and be a better citizen, to implement and help others and guide others to that same goal. And I've been successful at it. I don't need to be mayor. I don't have aspirations to be anything else. I saw that our current mayor, who I thought has done a great job, needs to be at the supervisor's table, because during COVID, we were the last ones that they even thought of But my wife just walked in through the door, she's a vice president of Memorial Care. And when she saw that COVID vaccines were gonna go be sent down to Irvine, she stopped them and she said, can you talk to the mayor? I said, absolutely. We got our first vaccines in Santa Ana because my wife intercepted them and brought them to Santa Ana and to Anaheim. And she helped save thousands of lives. You're getting a family that loves this community and advocates at the highest level that are gonna make sure that Santa Ana will be kept safe. I will create a public health agency so that we can advocate for ourselves and not to be dependent for others. You saw 3 different candidates here with 3 different mindsets. We are all different. We all have our different backgrounds and different needs. But at least today you know who stands for what. And I just ask you to go vote and vote for your candidate. Thanks.
Would you like to take another minute just to have equal time for everybody?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you. Candidates, round of applause for all the candidates. And we will take a break. We got food, thanks to High School Inc. And 10-minute break, is that what you said? 10-minute break. Thank you, everybody. We'll go back to the other candidates.
It's not high school. When do you want to start?
Folks, we're going to start in 5 minutes, so get some drinks, get some cookies, sandwiches. We're going to start 5 minutes long.
Kind of bums me out that I don't live here. Do you live here?
I live in Anaheim.
It's going to be very
Yeah.
The name doesn't sound familiar. But if it's somebody in the city of San Ana, can you
I gotta take that right after.
Good evening, everybody. Candidates, make their way out to the front, please. We'll get started.
All right, let's go.
Not really.
Sorry, let me move it. You know what? Is anyone sitting over there?
Not at all. I'll move one over. Let me grab a sandwich for later.
I was thinking of putting a sandwich in first.
Oh, let's see.
Alrighty. Thank you again, everybody, for joining us. This will be the third and final round this evening for the Santa Ana Chamber of Commerce's Candidates Forum. And this will be the council members running in their respective wards for wards 2, 4, and 6 in the city of Santa Ana. And we're very pleased that they were able to join us for this Candidates Forum. To start with a couple items, housekeeping items. Again, my name is Bill Urke, on the board of directors for the Santa Ana Chamber, co-chair of the Government Affairs Committee, and most importantly, as I said before, a resident of Santa Ana and a strong believer in these forums as being able to provide candidates the ability to talk in their own words. And with that, I would like to make one reminder and advisor that we have been advised that there may have been inappropriate comments relating to the mayor or council member elections, and the Santa Ana Chamber of Commerce does not tolerate any of that, so please, everybody, remember to be civil, and we appreciate your cooperation. Also, we have been advised that, and some people have asked, on the ability of providing campaign literature or signs or anything of that nature. That's fine. We only want to make sure that that's done outside of this room and not during the forum, obviously. We want the people to be able to focus on the candidates and their responses and to remain neutral. With that, I will get to the rules of the road for the candidates. I will let them introduce themselves with their opening statements in a few seconds here. The format, again, will be 2 minutes for opening statements, candidates. I will ask you a series of questions like we have been doing, and you will have 1 minute to answer the question. You will then have a 1 minute closing statement period after we go through the series of questions. Please remember this is being videoed on Facebook Live, and Tim Jamal, sitting right there in the front with the cool shirt, is the timekeeper. And please watch him, candidates, as you are providing your responses, because he is the one who will make you stop and throw things at you. So, with that, we will move on to the City Council Candidates Forum, and we will start with the opening statements, 2 minutes each, and I will do what I've done here, with just go straight down the table. Ben, if you would please start with the 2 minutes.
Yeah, I'm Benjamin Vasquez. I'm a teacher, a high school teacher at Valley High School. I taught at Boulder, I taught at Century. I love my job. I teach history and ethnic studies. In the summer, I teach a Santa Ana history class. It's the best thing I've ever done. This is my whole life, giving service to Santa Ana, and especially the children of Santa Ana. I'm also a nonprofit leader. We have a nonprofit that is all volunteer around when I got there. We're all volunteers, and somehow we're able to buy a building. That is leadership right there. When you have all volunteers, no executive director, not a secretary, but we built it and we did it. And we have a space for community to come and have free workshops. I used to do free workshops pop up at Jerome Park and show movies and free markets. I've been giving to the city all my life. This is who I am, my family. We have 4 educators, siblings. Four of us are educators. We have 4 nieces who are going to be educators. My family is about giving back to Santa Ana. We're 100% committed to the city and what we do. The work that I do is consistent, always, every day. I've done Noche de Tardes in downtown Santa Ana. I did that for 15 years. It's the biggest business day for those restaurants in Santa Ana, the Noche de Tardes Day of the Dead festivals in downtown Santa Ana. They love it when we go down there. They organize Dia del Niño, I organize cultural events. We bring culture. This city is known for culture and arts, and we've been part of it at the nonprofit that I've been there for. So I am the person who knows how to manage resources, who will bring resources. During COVID, we gave $800,000 of COVID relief to families in Santa Ana. I ran a food drive. We did COVID vaccine clinics. We kept doing it without pay. I do that work as a volunteer. I don't get paid. I just love my job. I love the city. This is what I run for office. Thank you.
Thank you for the opening remarks. And the next candidate from Ward 2, Councilmember Mendoza.
Good evening, colleagues. My name is Nelida Mendoza, and I'm the incumbent for Ward 2 for the beautiful city of Santa Ana. I've been on city council for 2 years, and now I'm up for re-election. And during the last 2 years, there really hasn't been the opportunity to do much outside of the council, but we have had a balanced budget, which is very important, and I also participated in many toy drives during the COVID season and food distributions, of course, and financial aid in many ways, rental assistance to our constituents. So those of you who know me already know that I am an Army veteran. I serve my country, and I continue to serve our community as well. I am a teacher and an immigrant. And so you're wondering, why am I running for re-election again? Well, I have a public servant's heart, and I'm not in it for myself, because many of you may have the idea that it's a glamorous job. It's not. It's really hard work. There's a lot, the agendas are incredibly thick, and we have to study and look at the staff report. I go out into the community and look to see what the development that we're looking at. And to me, it is very important that we continue to provide public safety. You know that crime has increased significantly since we came out of COVID, and so we need to ensure that your neighborhoods, that you have a neighborhood that is safe. So that's one of my biggest priorities, and to continue to provide public safety. The second one is, of course, that we have nice neighborhoods where people can afford a home, and eventually our youth services also. I want the youth to find great jobs so that they can afford a home and continue to live here in the beautiful city of Santa Ana.
Thank you for the opening statement. Moving on to Ward 4, Councilmember Becerra.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody here and on Facebook. I'm Santa Ana City Council Member Phil Becerra. I represent Ward 4. I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve for the last 3 years. I'm proud of my track record of serving the residents of Ward 4 and the city. In just the past 3 years, just to give you a couple of accomplishments that I'm proud of, we've increased the number of police officers patrolling our streets. We're 92 short of what was previously stated. We actually just got 8, but I'm still proud of that. We increased funding for repairing our fire stations. We initiated litigation against organizations that are dumping homeless in Santa Ana. We've secured more funding for sidewalks than ever before. There was not even dedicated funding for sidewalks before I became a council member. We also initiated the city's first park host program at Thornton Park, so we have 24/7 presence of somebody at the park. We've reduced the cost of opening and operating businesses. We no longer have certificate of occupancies for just opening up the business unless you're doing tenant improvements. We initiated a study to look at the city's parking permit policies, something that's been long overdue. And we've increased funding for graffiti abatement and the My Santa Ana app, which many of you in Ward 4 probably see me walking Stanley Pup and reporting graffiti, so I can attest it works really well. And we also, if you're walking along MacArthur, you see that we honor our active military service members with banners, because those young men and women, they do so much for our country. I've also been the only council member to actually make myself available consistently since being elected through monthly community office hours. In fact, it won't be this first Saturday, it'll be the second Saturday for October. And then with that being said, I hope to continue to serve on the council because I'm so excited about what we've been able to do in the last 3 years, even with the pandemic, and I'm very excited and optimistic that we can do more. So thank you.
Thank you for the opening statement. Amada, please.
Buenas noches. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amalia Mejia. I'm born and raised in Santa Ana. And prior to starting my PhD, I was actually working for the California State Association of Counties, where I engaged with both city, county, and state stakeholders in public safety, helping different counties across the state build benefit cost analysis models. So I not only have the leadership experience, but I've worked with different stakeholders who have diverse thought process. It really helps shape to move forward to things that actually work and that are cost effective. I've also been a juvenile justice commissioner before. I'm currently pursuing my PhD in urban planning and public policy at the University of California at Irvine. But more importantly, the reason why I'm running is because I'm born and raised in the city, and I love my city. I'm ready to serve the community that definitely deserves a leadership that cares about everyone who lives here. Thank you.
Thank you for the opening statements. Now moving on to Ward 6. Councilmember Peñalosa, you can please start.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Peñalosa. I'm the council member representing Ward 6. Got elected 4 years ago now. Born and raised in the city of Santa Ana. My parents immigrated here from the city of Guerrero, Mexico, and settled in the city of Santa Ana. First home they purchased was off of Towner Street in Memorial Park. And then one day while my mom was at work, my dad decided to start looking at a bigger home because I was on the way. And they bought a house 2 streets over where we currently live now and have lived ever since. 9 months after they bought that home, my dad passed away in a tragic car accident on the 5 freeway, leaving my mom with a mortgage and 3 kids under the age of 10 to take over herself. So she has been my reason, and just looking at it, the example that I've had, as taking on that leadership role, very young, very no resources, and she had to fend for herself. She worked multiple jobs. She had newspaper routes. She sold furniture. She sold interior designing. She sold all kinds of different things to make ends meet and bring us out along and get that mortgage payment made. And she made it happen. She was able to put us all through college. I graduated from Saddleback High School, went to Cal State University Los Angeles, and graduated with a bachelor's in English. And I've been working in Ward 6 since my entire adult career. And I made the decision to run because I saw the neglect that our city had gone through the last decade. Decades and decades of just overall neglect across the board. Lack of investment in our infrastructure, lack of investment in our parks, in our public safety. We're the highest tax city in the county, and we definitely don't look like we're the highest tax city in the county. So I started to, as an elected official, bring back that investment to the basic functions that our city has not seen for years. Our residents want to have nice streets to drive on. They want to have a nice park to go to. They don't want to be accosted by a homeless man, a naked homeless man that's drugged out of their minds inside our restrooms at Memorial Park. And that's what's been happening. My family does not feel safe. I know that previously somebody said that there's this narrative trying to be painted out there. No, speak to any business up and down Bristol Street, or Standard, or Grand, and they'll tell you the same thing. We do not feel safe coming to work. So I want to continue that leadership role that I've been doing the last 4 years and trying to invest in the things that matter, that our residents and businesses see every day. And that's why I'm doing this again. So, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you for running. Do I get the extra 30 seconds? And do I get the extra 30 seconds?
Give them the extra 30 seconds.
No.
I yield the time.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. This is obviously a democracy at the grassroots level, and it is appreciated. I do appreciate the Chamber for hosting this and all of the folks that decided to be here. Because it is time out of our days, and really we should be living our lives. We should not have to worry about the conditions of our streets. We should not be worried about the safety of our children. There are a lot of things that we can do in this community to make it as beautiful as we all know that it is. And the way that we do that is by connecting everybody that wants to make this a better place. So here, even just amongst all of you, we're divided in this room. We have to be honest with ourselves. And we are divided over things that are relatively minor that can bring people together if we look at the specific issues at hand at every specific moment. And that's what I'd like to bring as a council member. So I am someone who was raised in the city, so 36 years here. 2 master's degrees from UCLA, undergraduate from Berkeley, came here to the Johnson Center when it was the previous building. Graduated from Middle College High School as a wizard.
I was always told to succeed, I had to lead. And, you know, I'm here before you saying, no, that's not. That I am not afraid of this city, that this is a city that has embraced me, that this is a city that I love and have dedicated my life to. I've spent 19 years studying its history, the stories, the people that have come and gone, and some of them that still remain here after, 40, 50 years of community action. And for me, really what it ends up being is you have to talk to residents outside of our own political spaces, outside of our own comfort zone, and listen to them. Yes, people are afraid of their own safety, but they're afraid of being run over by cars. They want speed bumps. They want traffic diverted out of our neighborhood communities. They want places where their kids can go after school. They want to feel that their tax dollars are actually being spent well, efficiently, with oversight. Those are not controversial topics. And I'm hoping that at the very least, I came before you all in 2019 with specific policy ideas. And I'm very happy that some of those policy ideas actually got implemented. I was up here with Phil Becerra talking about the need to get rid of certificate of occupancies because they were killing our local businesses. And we need to start coming together like that to figure out what it is that we do to move forward. So with that, Manny is going to be on running for Ward 6, and I guarantee you that that is the type of action and vision that I would like to bring to the city. And I'm so honored to have your support. I will do everything I can to work those 14-hour days my dad taught me how to work.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opening statements, candidates. Now we'll begin the series of questions. Lena, I'd like to start with you, if that's okay. We'll just keep going down the line.
Certainly.
First question, and this will be the same question for all the council, or all the candidates. And if you need me to repeat it, just let me know. As a council member, what policies would you put in place to promote and improve economic development and the business climate in Santa Ana?
Well, we are already working on much of the economic development plan. We start off by ensuring that we have a program that brings in more money into the city. We're doing Travel Santa Ana, and we are already working on getting some tourists, bringing them in from the outlying city, mainly from Anaheim, because as COVID restrictions have lessened, now we have more traveling and more people coming to, mostly to Anaheim for Disneyland. So we're trying to bring that in here so that they can come and experience the ride, the trolley, and then they're going to stop and visit our local restaurants. They're going to want to come and visit our art studios and buy some art and take a look at the beautiful city and enjoy the culture. And that's why you go to different cities, right? To experience. And that's one of the ways that we're going to be bringing in revenue and build more economic sustainability and strength for our city.
Thank you for the response. Phil, same question.
Would you mind repeating it?
Sure thing. As a council member, what policies would you put in place to promote and improve economic development and the business climate in Santa Ana?
Well, I can tell you some ideas of what I would do, but I can actually tell you things that we've already done. For instance, when we talk about the certificate of occupancy, there was no other city around us that had been charging $400 just to open your laptop inside a space that's already been improved. We were already doing that. Or I'm sorry, we weren't. We were charging it, and we were able to reduce that. Didn't just talk about it, we actually did. But I would say that if you want to have economic development in this town, if you want to have it, you need to have a safe town. So if you want to talk about where we should be investing, we should be investing in our police. We need more officers. People are afraid. You can say it's a war zone. It's not that it's a war zone, but sometimes perception is reality. And we're talking about economic development, we're trying to attract people here. We need to make sure that it's a safe place to be. We need to make sure that there's enough resources for our officers to show up when they're called.
Thank you for the response. Amalia, same question.
Thank you for such a great question. As a daughter of small business owners, I completely understand the need to promote small businesses. I think that the city has done a great job at revitalizing downtown. There could be other parts of the city that can also have development. But I think what we really need to focus on is what type of jobs are we bringing into the city? Are those jobs actually giving those that currently live here livable wages? Because if we want to talk about revenue, not just the sales tax, but can people afford to shop here and live here? And I think that's very important to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. David, same question.
Thank you. The different policies that I would put in place and have already been doing over the last 4 years is not only public safety, but investing into our city's infrastructure. No business is going to want to come to our city if our streets are crumbling, if there's graffiti everywhere, and we don't make it a friendly visiting city for people wanting to spend their money in our city. Right now, we're currently we're in the middle of a $20+ million investment project into South Main Street. Not downtown Santa Ana, not North Santa Ana, but South Main Street, because it is needed. And one of the many things I heard when this investment project was coming through is saying, the opposition was saying, oh, we don't want this project to happen because it's gentrification. This is going to raise people's property values and raise our taxes. Well, you know what? Those business storefronts and those homes surrounding the area want their property values to increase, want people to be able to drive down the street and have it be inviting. So those are things that we've done. Travel Santa Ana, which the Santa Ana Chamber has led. I'm very happy that it's here now, and it's a self-imposed tax. And I'll stop because on the side of this one.
Thank you for the response. Manny, same question.
Yeah, so really at the end of the day, it doesn't come about the ease of opening up a business. So right now there is still additional procedures that the city has and requires for all businesses starting up. And it's actually a cumbersome process. So one of the things that we haven't done yet is have a business liaison activated in the city that can basically take someone through these basic steps of regulatory compliance with what actually needs to get done in order to start up a business. And we don't really do any kind of tiered system either, where right now what we should be doing is making it easier for smaller businesses to start and waiving a lot of those requirements, because we know that it's hardest to start and it's really time delays more than anything. It's not just the cost, it's how much delayed the projects are. And every time we have a budget over the last 4 years, we haven't actually invested in any of the positions that actually do this, right? So having contracted positions to take care of the surge, hiring additional building inspectors, none of that has really been done. And these are positions that actually bring money back into the city. So those are things that you can invest in that every year on a budgetary basis you can take care of. And again, they haven't been taken care of for the last 4 years. And they actually bring in money to the city, so I don't know why they haven't.
Thank you for the response. And then, please.
I definitely agree with Maddie, the deregulation to open up a new business in Santa Ana. I know my mom opened up her business and she took a hard time to open up a beauty salon on McFadden and Bristol. And she did a great job. She made good for our family and put 4 of her kids through universities. We are not going to arrest our way out of our problems in Santa Ana. We are not going to arrest our way out of our problems in Santa Ana. We need to invest in youth. We need to have a skilled work group. We need people skilled. We need young men, young women to be trained and be ready to work, so businesses want to come here because we provide them with a skilled workforce. And if we want to be a better city, we got to prove us. We're better. We're not going to arrest all of us. Don't come by my school trying to arrest my students. You know what I'm saying? Like, this has to be done at a place where we invest in youth, we invest in each other, and it's more about love than having more police out on the street.
Thank you for the responses, candidates. Appreciate that. I will be moving on to the next question, and Phil, I'd like to start with you for the responses. The state has embraced climate change and combating climate change. The city of Santa Ana has passed a resolution to phase out natural gas in homes and move to electrification. Do you support the city's resolution? And if so, how would you propose to assist communities in your ward who may not have means or resources for the transition? 1 minute response.
So what you're talking about, that resolution, was something that really had no real goals in mind that were realistic that we could attain. We were aspiring to do things that cities with funds aren't even able to accomplish in the next 10 years. And we're asking our community, which is already struggling, where you've got certain policies that the current city council has imposed that makes it even more difficult to be here, whether it's sales tax increases, whether it's the ability to improve properties, and now you're saying, well, you now have to have this mandate. Again, it's just a typical unfunded mandate that certain folks on the council have short-sighted policy vision, and they've gone ahead and taken that, copy and pasted it onto our books. It's not going to work. I would love to see us do something for the environment, but let's be realistic. Let's actually follow the existing plan that we have on the books. We have a climate action plan. But again, political short-sightedness by certain council members, and that's what that resolution is.
Thank you. Amalia, same question?
Thank you. As someone who studies urban planning and public policy, I think it is vital that we definitely address the environmental issues, especially in the city of Santa Ana. You can log on to the city website, to the state website, and see the impact that the city has. And I think one way to actually continue this proposal is by bringing green jobs. There's an opportunity, we talked about before economic development. This is a perfect opportunity to train folks, the youth here, who may not have an education, to have good paying jobs by bringing green jobs to actually address the climate issue. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. David, same question.
Thank you for that. The resolution that was brought before us had the city of Santa Ana reaching 100% renewable electric energy by 2025, which that is not at all achievable. I mean, we have hundreds of vehicles, city vehicles, that don't even operate as an electric form. They need gasoline, they need diesel, and there was also, that's all great, and I'm happy to do that, but not within a 2-3 year time frame, because that costs money, and for a lot of it, the technology's not even there. A lot of the homes in our city, residents cannot afford to make their city of their home electric, 100% electric. That is just not the reality. And if I know that the current council makes decisions at midnight for headlines without any vision of what is sustainable over the next 10 years. And that is something that the council majority over the last 2 years has failed to address the sustainability of all the ideas they bring forward. So we had to water it down a little bit, a lot actually, because it was not achievable, and I was able to support that one.
Thank you. Man, same question.
California already achieved 100% renewable energy in May of this year. It's actually already happened. Right now we're talking about something that's impossible to do that's in fact already happened. It doesn't happen in all periods of the day, and we do need to look for grid stability, but that is a possible trade. Right now, more than anything, if I'm using this as a PSA, everyone in this room has a 5 to 10% higher rate of chance for higher rates of asthma if you are using a gas stove in your household. I ask you, what is it worth for your children to have lifelong asthma? I'm trying to create a city that is better for its residents, and yes, natural gas is actually going to be phased out based on market forces. Maybe we didn't need the resolution, but this resolution is highlighting the issue. So I ask each and every one of you to go home and say, is this gas stove worth a 5% chance that I will die? I ask the chamber, is the money that the Cal Edison gives for hosting this, is that worth not talking about the issue? I don't think it is. Now, they have to switch out, and we have to do this over time. We don't want to force it upon people, but we have to let people know that the issue is real. It's not, it would be unscientific to state otherwise, and I am not going to base my decisions on that.
Thank you for the response. Ben, same question.
I would like to see this plan play out. I mean, if we can't reach it in 2025, we need to set a reasonable goal to reach it. Above all, in Santa Ana, we have lead poisoning in our houses, in our neighborhoods, where kids play. And this really affects children in a very strong way. If we're going to look at the environment, we're going to start talking about lead and lead poisoning that we have in the ground here in Santa Ana. It's really affecting students, it's affecting young people, and we need to take a head charge on this. I know many of our families are hurt by this, and it's time to start looking at that.
Thank you for the response. The same question.
It took millions and billions of years for our world to get this kind of damage. Do you believe we're really going to resolve it in 10 years? So I support going green. The city of Santa Ana supports going green, but we need to have a program that is realistic and affordable to our residents. Can you afford a Tesla? Can I afford a Tesla? So let's keep our residents in mind. You know, we're going to need to do a program that they can work into slowly and have some kind of subsidy, because if we're going to repair our world and take care of Mother Earth, we need to take care of our families first. And if we make these mandates to have their stoves replaced, it's going to be chaos. We're going to have illegal stoves now. So, you know, let's look at this in a long range, and let's look at it together, because we're not going to agree on something that is gonna be done so quickly. So I am in favor, and we are looking at having all electric vehicles. But you know, then again, that brings, we've got to build the station, the charging stations, so more expense.
Thank you for the responses, candidates. I appreciate it. I'll be moving on to the next question. Amalia, I'd like to start with you for this one. Has the city made enough progress on addressing homelessness, and what would be some of your solutions, if not?
Yeah, I think that's a great question that everyone can agree that it's an issue. I don't think that we've addressed accurately the situation with unhoused folks. And the first step in addressing the unhoused situation is understanding there are different groups. There are groups who have mental health and substance use disorder. We've seen that, right? We talk about some people feeling uncomfortable because we do not know how to manage that. That takes someone who's an expert, not someone who's in law enforcement, someone who's a mental or behavioral health expert. And the reason why we have this high number in the community is because the state closed down mental health hospitals. The second part is that not a lot of people can afford to live in a home. The cost of living in rent is extremely high. And then you have other folks who have different type of needs. And so we have to separate those issues and start treating the groups differently based on the needs that they actually have. And start targeting first affordable housing. And I don't mean just in a program, I mean housing to actually be affordable for all. And I think once we address that issue, we will start to see a reduction of people who are currently living outside in the city. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. David.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Has the city made enough progress on addressing homelessness, and what are some of your solutions, if not?
I would say that the city of Santa Ana has definitely tried. We have invested over $25 million annually on addressing this issue throughout numerous different forms. One of the problems is lack of attention and partnership at the County of Orange with the people representing the city of Santa Ana. We need a healthcare professional at the Board of Supervisors, which AKA Kimberly Swen, our next supervisor, to be able to help us address these issues at the county level. They're the ones with the funding allocated from the state to address this issue in our city. And it shouldn't be at the city's responsibility to be at addressing this issue. It should be at the county, at the state level. And over the last 2 years, COVID, what happened? The Sheriff Tom Barnes was directed to release 50% of their prison population without no plan. And that's a constant reoccurring occurrences that people, elected officials, make these decisions with no plan in sight, but just for that quick headline. And that's what needs to stop. So I'm hoping that our county of Orange is going to be more proactive in the next couple of years to help cities like Santa Ana address the issue.
Thank you for the response. Manny, same question.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that we don't have a solution to the crisis. This is the number one crisis that people are undergoing right now as far as the living conditions in our city. But when we throw $25 million at the project, but we're spending $8,000 a month on a cot. How many of you have ever been inside of a shelter? Ask yourselves, have you been there and how dehumanizing those spaces are for someone going through whatever they're going through? It doesn't matter how they got there. A lot of people will accept help, but not under those conditions. I would rather sleep on the streets under a tree than go to a shelter. I will say that right now. And I don't expect any other person to go into that shelter. I would rather spend $2,000 on a one-bedroom apartment, give a $2,000 living stipend, and then $4,000 in special mental health treatment for anyone that needs it. Simple. That's where and how you can actually reduce the overall cost, have a better program with better outcomes, and we can do that right now. We have to just stop giving the same nonprofits $24 million to host people in a warehouse, literally the warehousing of people.
Thank you for the response. Dan, same question.
I think I'm sick of the county blocking us on this. And what Vince Sarmiento said, what South Tinajero said, was we need our own health department. We take that money from them, we run it ourselves, we take care of Santa Ana. We don't need the county, we just build our own health department here in Santa Ana, like Long Beach has with LA. We're going to have to do something for ourselves. Talking about homelessness, we have 27% of my students at Valley High School are McKinnell-Vento. 27% are homeless. If I have a class of 40, 10 are homeless, considered homeless. We need to have rent control. So the people up here, David and Nadia, both voted against rent control. I'm running out of responsibility to those people. I know I don't have to speak to other folks. I talk to my children every day. I know what they go through. They're living in garages. They're sharing bedrooms. There's mattresses in the living room and dining room. I know these students. That's why we need rent control. Stop homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. Delete the same question.
My opponent and I don't really disagree. We just disagree on the approach. Rent control is not the answer. It's actually hurting people, and I've already seen it. They're evicting people, and so now we have to set up a legal defense fund to help the people who are being evicted. The very people who were supposed to benefit from rent control are the ones that are being evicted, and that's a fact. I can show you the numbers. We have in place a quality of life team that addresses the homelessness. It's a team that has a social services person, mental health expert, and a law enforcement official. And that is, they are treated, the homeless people are treated with dignity. And I have personally gone to the shelter. I was there. I went on a ride along, and we picked up a homeless woman and took her over to the shelter and I stayed with her until she was processed. She was so happy to have a warm bed, a meal, a shower, and it's a place, you know, there's a roof, there's a bed. It's not housing of putting people in warehouses. It's a home for them. They would rather be in a home with other people. We're meant to be social. We're not meant to be sleeping out on the streets. So, what's that? Oh, I'm sorry.
I do.
Okay.
He's subtle sometimes. Phil, same question to wrap this one up.
Sure. The city has committed millions and millions of dollars when it comes to dealing with the homeless. And at least, 40,000 of it went to Councilmember Mendoza's opponent to clean up a homeless encampment that he created on the site of his nonprofit. And we still haven't seen the money come back yet for the services that we've had to provide to clean up their mess. We've also in the city, we've built hundreds of permanent supportive housing units. What does that mean? These are units that aren't just warehouses. These are units that have wraparound services that address mental health issues and drug dependency. But we can't, here in Santa Ana, shoulder the burden of 33 other cities in Orange County. What we need is assistance from our folks at the county, and that's why I'm so excited when soon-to-be Supervisor Kim Bernice-Wynn gets elected. We'll be able to hopefully have a good collaborative relationship where we can actually see a much more proactive approach throughout the county to address the issue.
Thank you for the responses, candidates. Appreciate it. I'll move on to the next question. And David, I'd like to start with you on this one and kind of keep going down the road as we have.
Do you know Amalia?
I'm sorry?
I just went.
I started with Amalia. Oh, she started that one.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So, David, can you start this one?
Okay.
If elected.
Did you say the leader or the leader?
I'm sorry, what?
You said you were the leader.
You. Okay, yeah. Because you started last time, right, Molly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're moving on to the next question. Just want to make sure. Please make sure to check me. You know, we're trying to juggle about that. But next question. If elected or re-elected, are you in favor of hiring more police? If yes or no, please explain.
Yes, I am in favor of hiring more police officers. The national per capita average is about, once the last time I saw it was 5.9 officers per 1,000 residents. Right now we have about 1.5 officers per 1,000 residents. In a city with, I know the census numbers came back under 310,000, but with the low census count that we had, it's close to 400,000 easily. We need officers. I hear from knocking on doors and talking to residents daily is we need officers patrolling our streets. We need officers to drive by. Why aren't they here on time? We call 911, it takes over an hour to show up, if they do. Going to many of the school meetings. Why are there only, I believe, 13 officers at the high schools and the junior high schools, but not at the elementary schools? Because there aren't enough officers. So across the board, whether it's the school board or the city council, that's the message I keep hearing from residents. We need and want more officers on our streets. So yes.
Thank you for the response. Manny, same question.
Yeah, so for me, really, at the end of the day, it's like, what do we want out of our police safety, right, or public safety efforts? So if the numbers come back and we actually need more officers for a certain response, that would be interesting, and I would be supportive of that. However, what I'm seeing right now is that we have a lot of officers that are just inefficiently being deployed. So I'm also telling everyone that, look, our public safety, it should be a police oversight board, it should be a public safety oversight board to look at how efficiently police are being deployed. I'm constantly told that we only have 10 patrol officers, right, going around the city at any one time, but has anyone ever been at a traffic stop when we like have an accident and we see like 6 to 8 patrol cars there? You know, is that really fully devoting every single bit of our police resources to that one incident? I don't think so. I think that there are a lot of roles that can be civilianized, so we can have someone who right now, even as an entry-level police officer, is being paid the total benefits $202,000 a year, more than, or just under an average surgeon, having at least some form of support when it comes to writing down reports or anything that they don't actually have to do, so they can spend more time in the field. And if you do that, you're going to have a much more efficient system. So rather than just adding bodies so that people can text people back as to what they're doing, I think we should actually have them doing police work.
Thank you. Thank you for the response. Ben, same question.
50% of our budget goes to police. Any more, we're going to have a police state.
Right.
We need a more efficient police force. We need them to work better. We need to make sure that we have more of the police, not stop specialized units and get them onto the streets so they can be on call for our people when they call. We need to make sure we hold the police accountable to do their job right. We're spending way too much on police right now not to have that service. So I would hold the police department accountable and more efficient.
Thank you for the response. Relita, same question.
I realize that my opponent and I are divided on this issue because he supports defunding the police and I support our men and women in uniform. And I'm offended that he would celebrate that by hanging a sign that says defund the police on the monument of our officers who have passed away on the line of duty. And that is a shame because who else will risk their life to come to rescue you when you're in danger? So we need to increase our police officers, and the reason that there is more money allocated to that department is because naturally they need to have better equipment. How would it look like if their car breaks down on the way to a chase or on the way to come and rescue you because there's a burglar in your house? How would it look like if their guns jam when they're trying to defend you? So that's the reason, because they need the equipment and the right vehicles to do their job. And if you want to live in a safe city, then we're going to need to increase our police officers.
Thank you. My answer is yes. Just like every incumbent up here, the answer is yes. Notice that those that aren't incumbents up here can't give you a yes or no answer. They dance around the issue. The fact of the matter is, we are very fortunate that with the officers that we have respectable response times for near life or death situations. So short of being in a situation where your life is threatened, you're ending up waiting close to an hour for a police response. Is that acceptable to you? So let's do the math. If with what we have today, we are not able to get those response times down, then we need more officers. We talk about economic development. How about just the fact that working class people or affluent neighborhoods deserve the same high quality police service?
Thank you, and Amalia, same question.
Yeah, thank you. As someone who's worked on public safety issues for the past 10 years and studied this issue precisely, I think that what we need to do is, it's absolutely right, public safety is important. We all want to be safe in our neighborhoods. Absolutely. As a woman walking, canvassing late at night, sometimes I don't feel safe. But I don't think that this is the answer. I think that 75%, if you look at the data, about 75% of the calls in Santa Ana are regarding unhoused situations. So what we do need to address is that issue first, and then look at what are the other calls, what are the other reasons folks are actually calling the police. Is it an issue that they need the police, or is it an issue that maybe we haven't established as a society proper ways to address societal issues? And if you look at the data, a lot of counties and jurisdictions are moving away from punitive measurements and really into programming, and that's exactly what we need. I also want to address that what we need to do is stop criminalizing people who are poor. Because when we talk about safety, we often are talking about certain neighborhoods, and not neighborhoods like the one I grew up in, that actually people also want to be safe from the police too, so we do hold both accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates, for the responses on that question. I'll be moving on to the next question. Manny, I'd like to start with you. How can the city better allocate the transit occupancy tax, or commonly known as the hotel tax, to support the community's arts and culture, which is a major point of interest for visitors?
Yeah, no, I think for that. So I always called it the TOT or the TOT, but it's all good. So for me, the thing that we could do, and this is something that we talked about in the development world, was so for 1% for the arts when it came to develop new developments in the city, we do the same thing for this transit occupancy tax. So you would basically set aside 1% of the funding coming in for this, specifically to do art projects throughout the city. I also believe that the city should start a right to beautify. So basically, if you as an individual person, group, organization are interested in beautifying any part of the city with any specific project, that you could petition the city through whatever regulatory process we have, but to actually beautify your neighborhood and community, to create an altarpiece, to create a place where you can stencil some kind of creative art project. Because right now we basically tell you that no, we can't do it, and we created an entire arts commission to create this process, and it's been 5 years, and we haven't gotten to it. So I think that that would be the big thing, and also just be more welcoming on the permitting side. We had a world-renowned global artist, JR. So you know that giant photo of the baby looking across the board, like looking across the board. He came to Santa Ana to do a giant project on 4th Street, and he was run out of town. Basically told he didn't have the right permits, and he was basically going to be cited, and will never come to this community again. And that happened because of city actions.
Okay, thank you for the response. Dan, same question.
For the use of art and culture money, I would like to maximize what we do have. We need to make sure our community is involved. And then we pick out different groups. I know we have child people over on Standard and McFadden. And how do we get and highlight our brothers and sisters in that area? Or Samoan families and Black families? How do we highlight, but not just highlight, because you have to have the community be involved. When we have Noche de Altares and Dia del Niño, I make sure that community learns. I make sure that there's a way for people to be involved and participate, and they're showing off their skills. So not just present to people. If you have art and culture money, we're going to have participation across, work with the school district, work with the senior homes, work with different groups across the city, so we get more people involved, so all our neighbors are highlighted.
Thank you for the response. Lily, the same question.
The hotel tax is definitely going to help, and I can tell you we have something very exciting coming for the great city of Santa Ana. We're a leader, as you know, in legalizing cannabis. So now we're working and getting cannabis tours, and they have been very popular already in Colorado. So this is going to bring in incredible revenue, and these people are going to need a place to stay, right? So we're going to have our hotels filled, and actually we're going to need even more hotels here in the city of Santa Ana. And these groups are going to be taken to the places where the cannabis is manufactured, or where you can buy it, and then you're going to have these incredible groups of people spending money right here in Santa Ana. And with that money, from the hotel tax, I definitely agree that we need to invest more in the arts and culture, because you know that is part of us as human beings. We enjoy the paintings, we enjoy seeing the beautiful customs, and La Noche de Altares is one of our Santa Ana's incredibly popular ones, and it brings over 40,000 people when it does. What does that do? We need to ensure that the public is safe. So we need to provide the police officers for La Noche de Altares, and also to have this an enjoyable experience for everyone. Yes, I'm wrapping.
Okay. Thank you. Phil, same question.
Would you repeat the question?
Sure. How can the city better allocate transit occupancy tax, or TOT, or the hotel tax, to support the community's arts and culture, which is a major point of interest for visitors?
Okay. Well, I would say I'm very proud of the fact that I was on the city council when we took some of that TOT money and created Travel Santa Ana to better promote our city. We have so much to be proud of in the city, and we weren't proactively promoting it. You know what we were doing? We were letting the register tell the story. we were letting LA Times tell the story. And what were they reporting? Not what I think most of us in the room would want them to report. So in addition to Travel Santa Ana and their promotion efforts, I would also like us to focus on business retention in some of these tourist cultural districts. Actually proactively go out there and see what we can do to make sure that they stay put and that they've got the resources they need. I'd also like to look at taking some of that TOT, not all of it, but some of it, and funding officers committed to some of these areas, because what we want to do is make sure that people feel safe in these areas. People are going to want to come here and see all the wonderful things that we have in Santa Ana, but we want them to be safe here as well. We have a lot to be proud of, and I think with the TOT money, we can promote those things, but we got to make sure that we take care of those that are coming into town and those that are from here, that are working here in that area.
Thank you for the response. Amalia, same question.
Yeah, it's really great to see the city really appreciating art and culture in my community. I remember growing up and seeing murals that maybe they were not as accepted as they are now. So I'm very proud that we moved to a progressive way of thinking about arts and culture. I also think that we can definitely do more for the youth and allowing different ways of expressing by providing programming and really activating other parts that not all have been activated. So I think there's definitely room for growth. And in terms of arts and culture, we do have a museum. I think we can benefit from having another one and really establishing what is the culture of the city, and let's start to have archives and history so we can start attracting more tourism as well. Thank you.
Thank you. David, you could please wrap up this question. We are going to repeat it?
Yes, please.
How can the city better allocate the transit occupancy tax, or TOT, hotel tax, to support the community's arts and culture, which is a major point of interest for visitors?
Thank you for that. So in Santa Ana, we have John Wayne Airport. We're sandwiched between Disneyland, beaches, desert and snowboarding just to the north. And there is no reason why we can't increase that COT tax. It's probably the only tax I would ever consider increasing, because it's a tax on visitors coming to the city. The TOT right now is lower than all the surrounding cities, lower than Costa Mesa's, lower than Anaheim's, and lower than Garden Grove's. And we see what the TOT tax, what they're able to do with those funds in those cities. I would definitely look into possibly expanding that TOT tax, and like moving forward with the Travel Santa Ana, and painting our own picture, as Mayor Pro Tem Becerra said, we would use it to also invest in things like arts and culture. There's no reason why First Street should look the way it does. Given that a lot of those motels and hotels on there are also paying that TOT tax, and we should be able to revitalize these entire strips where these hotels are at. And unfortunately, that hasn't been done historically in our city, and there hasn't been a will to want to do that. So yes, we would look into increasing the TOT tax.
Thank you very much, candidates, for the responses to that question. I am going to move on to the next one, and Ben, I'd like to start with you down this end of the table, if that's all right. Ballot Measure W would revise the city's business license tax code for the first time in over 25 years with the intent to make it more equitable for small businesses in the city. Do you support or not support Measure W, and why or why not?
I like the idea of Measure W as a starting point where we support new businesses, and we can support also cooperatives and bring people in so the workers can have their own place. So, and along with Measure W, how do we support cooperatives in Santa Ana, where people, the workers, are going to be the owners, and people start building their own businesses, and they can pay themselves. So I would like to see that something going where it's not a big, it hasn't been culturally brought into Santa Ana, but I think it's a big step for our families. It's a big step for the people that do the work, who are already working 15 hours a day, who want to do for themselves, but will be better off with the co-op. So how can we train people to do cooperatives as well?
Thank you. Nalita, same question.
I do support Measure W because as a city, we want to retain businesses and we want to attract new businesses, because the revenue that the businesses generate, they pay taxes on that, and those taxes are put right back into the community in form of services for our youth, for our senior citizens, for fixing our streets, for keeping the public safe. And so I do want to ensure that the city does use the businesses from the Santa Ana, for example, when we need a musician for a venue. Let's use our musicians union right down here on South Main. When we need catering, we're using people right here from downtown Santa Ana. And so we are a very friendly city towards businesses, because that's how people will make a living and support themselves, and we understand that, and we have been working on that. And so definitely, Measure W is a good thing, so please vote yes for Measure W.
Thank you. Phil, same question.
Yes, I do support it. In fact, I support it so much, I've actually helped author the argument on the ballot in favor of it. And it's such a supported measure that, get this, myself and Councilmember Jonathan Ryan Hernandez were the co-authors of the ballot argument. Councilmember Hernandez and I don't always agree on every issue, but this is an issue that the two of us can agree on. So I think it's something that, when you think about it, as it talks about, it's an equitable business license fee. Small businesses should not be paying the rates of what large businesses can afford. We need to make it more equitable. This will do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Molly, same question.
Yeah, absolutely. As a daughter of parents who had a small business growing up, I really saw them navigate this. And I definitely support folks who are trying to open up a small business. And I do think it is time that we have an equitable system in place where different folks who are trying to open or establish a business have the same opportunity as others who are more established or have more funds to continue a business. Thank you.
Thank you. David, same question.
Thank you for that. Very supportive of Measure W because it levels the playing field. It's going to make it more equitable across the board for all businesses to thrive in our city. Small businesses like my barber Lang on First and Harbor, she shouldn't have to pay the same business tax license as Bear Paint, but that's the reality that we see in our city. So it's definitely going to make it more equitable for small businesses like my barber Lang, sweet old lady, to thrive in our city. So yes.
Thank you. And Manny, same question.
I'm supportive, but the measure could have been better. It's actually not an equitable position. So if you do make over $100,000, we're paying over $100,000 in taxes, in business license taxes, you will not be paying a dollar over $100,000. So 9% of the largest businesses in the city will be getting a tax break out of it. I don't necessarily disagree with that. In fact, I think it could be marketed as a business retention tool, but if you look at the details of this particular policy, I would have probably made those exemptions for the first $1,000 of business license fees, right? So then that would have been really equitable, helping the smallest businesses. So it could have been a better measure. I do tell everyone in this room, vote for it, but it could have been better. And again, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to see if we can have better policies that actually do make a difference. We really could have supported smaller businesses in an equitable way, really supporting small businesses, rather than just an equal way. Equality is good. I think equity is better.
Thank you for the responses, candidates. I'm going to be moving on to the next question. Nalita, I'd like to start with you on this one. Are you supportive of inclusionary housing ordinances to address California's shortage of affordable housing? Why or why not?
Yes, definitely. I am in favor of providing assistance to our people who cannot afford housing, and actually Santa Ana already meets its requirement. And better yet, you know, as a teacher, this is what I'm teaching my students. You earn your degree or go to some kind of educational platform where you can earn where you learn skills that are going to make you a very viable candidate, and you get a job, not at McDonald's. I mean, those are good for while you're going to college, but as a profession, get a professional career where you can earn money that is going to allow you to save money and be a homeowner. And so that's one way that we can resolve that homeless actually as well. And then we're going to create a legacy of home ownership here. So if our students can get that salary, buy their home, help their family, then we're going to continue to have ownership. And that's what's happened in my home. We could not afford a house. We were making barely, my father was making like $2 an hour back when but saving your money, and look, at all of us are homeowners, and we work hard for that. And I know that our audience and our students and our future generations Can't be homeowners.
And, okay. We just don't want Tim to start throwing things.
Sorry, Tim.
Phil, same question.
Could you repeat it?
Sure thing. Are you supportive of inclusionary housing ordinances to address California's shortage of affordable housing? Why or why not?
You know, when I got on the council, we revised the city's existing inclusionary zoning policy, the WHO. And when we did that, we were seeing an increase in housing production. We were seeing the funds going from creating just subsidized affordable housing, but to sustain residents here with first-time home buyer down payment assistance. That's what we were doing. When you talk about whether we, Santa Ana, need to address California's affordable housing crisis, we are the second densest city in all of California, 5th densest in the United States, okay? We, in the last, they call the RENA cycles, in the last decade, when the state mandated a number for us to build affordable subsidized housing, we in Santa Ana, we didn't need it. I'm going to correct my colleagues here, we didn't need it. We exceeded it by 11 times. So when we talk about trying to address affordable housing, Santa Ana didn't get an A on the test, we did the extra credit 11 times over. So I would just say to each and every one of you, when we talk about affordable housing, we need to look at it beyond the island of Santa Ana. We need to look at it as what other cities are doing their fair share.
Thank you, Amalia.
Yeah, absolutely supportive. We no one should be paying more than 30% of their household income. And if you look at the data, you will see that the vast majority of Santa Ana residents pay about half, in some families even more. Hence why you see the density and overcrowding. I also do support increasing supply. We do need to increase supply in order to reduce and meet the demand. But I think that in order to make sure that we continue to include our current community, we definitely need to include the housing ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. David, same question.
Can you repeat it, please?
Sure thing. Are you supportive of inclusionary housing ordinances to address California's shortage of affordable housing? Why or why not?
I would be supportive if the city of Santa Ana was an island and we were the only city that was responsible for it. But like Mayor Pro Tem said, we are not. We are not responsible for the entire state's or the county's affordable housing mandate. I sit on the Orange County Housing Finance Trust as a board of directors, and part of our job that we've invested to do is to raise funds, private, public, across the board, for affordable housing projects throughout the county. One of our first meetings, the board of directors wanted to make a change to our bylaws that would make it so that if the South or North Spa didn't have any projects that needed the funding, maybe the Central Spa could take them. And I fought back on that. It should have, because initially it was made to be distributed equally between the 3 spas in the county. Because it shouldn't be Santa Ana's responsibility. There's no reason why Santa Ana needs to be the affordable housing capital of the county. So until the entire county takes ownership and responsibility and leadership, I will be fully supportive of having a full-blown inclusionary housing. But like my colleagues have mentioned, we've met that criteria 10 times over. And happy to be on that board to allocate the funding. We've funded thousands while I've been on the council, so happy to continue doing so.
Thank you. Manny, same question.
Yeah, so as anyone here in this room can tell you, the RENA numbers were wrong. We did not meet the numbers that we had. Yeah, we met a bureaucratic equation based off faulty data, based off faulty inputs, based off of basically ignoring the overcrowding that we have ongoing in the city. So yeah, like if we based off of the RENA numbers, we're great. You know, this number that, does anyone know how it's calculated in this room? We're just saying that we met it. But when you live out the day-to-day reality, people are in overcrowded conditions. Yes, we're dense, but we're unit poor. I want more units. I don't necessarily need the people to multiply. I want rooms and houses and buildings and apartments for the people that are already here. So I think we have a long way to go when it comes to that. We've been a flat growth city. It's been harder and harder to come in to the city. And inclusionary housing is a political compromise so that people that live here will be more supportive of new construction. Because we can be a no-growth city and we can say, we're done, we are already as dense as we can be. And then that might be fine for a lot of us, but for the people that are impacted by rising housing costs, inclusionary housing is the political compromise to get us to the next step.
Thank you for that response. And Ben, you could round out this question. your response.
Yes, I'm in agreement, but we also need a lot more affordable housing. We're 30 years behind. Our families are being pushed in. They're being squeezed in. You knock on doors when you go door to door knocking, and there's mattresses in the living room and dining rooms. There's families living in garages. We need to build for us. Santa Ana is so behind. That's why we're the densest population, second in the state, because we don't have enough affordable housing. People are being squeezed in. The rent is really high, also in Santa Ana. We're the 10th highest rent in the country. San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Oakland, San Jose, Miami, Los Angeles. There's Santa Ana, we're number 10. San Diego, number 9. So we're number 10, that's why we need rent control, because our students can't afford. They're being squeezed in. We don't have enough houses. Like Mandy said, we need more units. We need families to be safe, where the family is completely safe, and they don't have to rent out to strangers. And the children in the house can be safe that way.
Thank you for the response. I appreciate, I just realized we are getting kind of later in the evening. That will be the last question, and that was a lot. I appreciate that. We will have 1-minute closing statements now, going to that part of the program. And what I'd like to do is start at the other end of the table from me at Ward 6. And if I could start with you, Manny, with the 1 minute, give or take, depending how Tim closing statement.
I'll do the 1:15. So the
means everyone else gets 1:15.
1:15. Because I think we're missing one question. So I actually thought we were going to be talking about rent control for one of the questions. That's why I didn't bring it up. But I do want everyone here listening at home, everyone here and those listening at home, that you have a majority of the council that currently supports rent control. The incumbents that are up for election don't. They had, between them, a couple of years to get some stuff done up there, and I don't know that all these issues that they keep bringing up, talking about how wrong to track the cities on, they've been incumbents, and they have a record that you can look up. But those of us up here that are trying to have a different vision for the city, we do have a different vision, and it's going to be up to all of you, whether or not you support it, to help us in this upcoming campaign. So, for me, I live as much as I can, trying to support people doing the right thing in this community. I think a lot of us are trying to do the right thing. So again, we worked for the city for 14 years, and a lot of the things that you actually need as a city council member is to be able to move beyond just the packets that staff put in front of you. There are more options that the city has than the options that are laid out on the table by the staff. And you need the political leadership to be able to find those options and make sure that at the end of the day, you serve the residents of the city, not the city bureaucracy itself.
Thank you. And Councilmember Penalosa, if you please go next with your 1 minute closing.
Thank you for that. So rent control is going to come at a cost of about $200 minimum per unit, split between the tenant and the landlord. So, fees will rise and bills will come. So one way to remain affordable in the city is fighting against all the increasing fees across the board. I was the only council member on the city council that voted against water rates. Water rates went up 43% in the last 3 years while I've been on the city council. And in all those apartment buildings, guess who the cost is getting passed on to? The residents. That's why we keep seeing these bills go up and up, because there's no foresight on what these things are going to do. There's no foresight on what this implies, what the decisions that are being made implies to the residents at the end of the day, footing the bill. 4 years ago, I ran against the mayor's cousin, now I'm running against the mayor's assistant, which I guess that's what you get when you challenge the status quo and question the decisions that are being made, and ask for transparency. So again, my name is David. I'm proud to be running for re-election again because my heart's in this community and I want to see it thrive. And I'm happy to be here and hope to earn all your support.
Thank you. We'll move on to Ward 4 now. Amalia, if you could please go first with your 1 minute closing statement.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for the opportunity to share my thoughts and for the questions provided today. I'm Santa Ana born and raised. I have a lot of the shared lived experiences that many of our community members have experienced. And yes, I've had the opportunity to have higher education, now finishing my PhD, but I know many who have not. And I want to make sure that we give the others the opportunity, those who choose to go to higher education and those who might not and have an alternative path. But I also think that Santa Ana deserves somebody who's up to date in research. I've heard my opponent be a proponent of a broken windows theory, a theory that has actually proven to be wrong and hurt community members. Santa Ana needs leadership who's up to date on research, knows the data, and more importantly, understands the lived experiences of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Sarah, if you could please give your 1 minute closing statement.
Thank you, and I want to thank everybody for participating tonight and coming out and listening to us. My wife and I, we're homeowners in Ward 4. We have a vested interest in what happens not only in Ward 4, but the entire city. But what you heard up here tonight, you heard a clear choice. There was one question that was asked: would you add more police officers? You had 3 people say yes, and other people do some fancy dancing. They would not answer clearly whether they would or would not, but we know they won't, okay? As far as rent control, this is the kind of policy that you can expect from our opponents up here, because it was an unfunded mandate. Because what they do is they put the policy in place. Right now, we heard that rents are the 10th highest in the country, but we have rent control, guys. See the problem here? We don't have the funding to actually sustain this particular ordinance, but they're all singing its praises, but at the same time they're cursing the fact that we have high rents. Which is it? Which is it? Okay? So there's a reason why I'm endorsed by Congressman Correa and neighborhood leaders from throughout the city, not just my ward, but throughout the city. And I'm very proud of that. Why? Because of results. I get things done. You call me, you email me, I respond, we get things done. Okay? So I would love the honor and the opportunity to serve you for another 4 years, and I hope that I'm able to do that with Mayor Mesqua, Councilmember Peñalosa, and Councilmember Mendoza. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Now, moving on to Ward 2, Councilmember Mendoza, if you could please provide your 1 minute closing statement.
Yes, thank you. Well, my platform has been increased accessible housing, supporting the working families, young professionals, and senior citizens. We're going to and have been addressing the homelessness crisis through proper mental health and placement services and not putting them in jail. We're going to focus and continue to focus on career pipelines for our youth and at-risk communities. We will improve the public safety services through collaboration with the community and law enforcement. We continue to support local businesses by making it easier to open a business, lowering fees, and discouraging new taxes. Some of my accomplishments have been securing $10 million for affordable and permanent housing in Orange County for the creation of 2,000 new housing units. We opened Carnegie Homeless Shelter. I supported the Police Oversight Commission. I protected renters by extending rental freeze, supported local businesses by awarding $1.5 million in CARES Act funding, and invested $27 million in food, rental assistance, COVID testing, and internet services throughout the pandemic. I also voted to invest $65 million for 4 new parks, road repairs, arterial streets, 10 miles of protected bike lanes, and other city infrastructure. I'm the most viable candidate, and I would appreciate your vote for re-election so that you will have a stronger Santa Ana in 2022. Vote for Nelida Mendoza, Ward 2, www.nelidaforsantana.com.
Thank you.
One and a half minutes.
1.5 minutes.
You're welcome. The rent was already high. It was already number 10. It just got rent control just passed. We needed it because our working families needed the rent control. I say no more hiring of police. I say we need an efficient, accountable police force. If Ward 1 could get amazing service, if North of 17 could get the best service and they get calls within 5 minutes, then Ward 2 deserves the same thing. We need to help. We need to hold them accountable. When we call, they need to come, just like they do North of 17 Flora Park. We see them pull over people. There's 5, 6 cops pulling over one person. We need that kind of service if they're going to have it. We just want them to come when we call them. And Ward 2, I am here for working class families. I want to invest in youth. I want to make sure we have more libraries, not a bookmobile. We need a library at McFadden. We need the McFadden library back, and that PAL that we just opened up at the fire department, that should have been a library. We need a library in Delhi. We have 2 libraries. Anaheim has 11. We need to really see, what are we doing? Half our money is going to police, but we're not investing it in youth. Where is it really going? Why are we spending so much money? We need to be efficient and hold the police department accountable. We need to have rent control. We need to have safe houses. We need to make sure our kids are able, families, to have their own home and secure housing. Vote for Benjamin Vasquez, Ward 2, Santa Ana. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. A round of applause to all the candidates. Very much